Bank are always on there just talking about.
This is a breaking update from 9 News.
Good evening. We have breaking news of a major situation unfolding at Bondi Beach this evening. We have early reports that at least 10 people have been shot. Police have issued an urgent message, which I will read out now. Police are responding to a developing incident at Bondi Beach and are urging the public to avoid the area. Anyone at the scene should take shelter. Police are on the scene and more information will be provided when it comes to hand. We have our reporter Zach Bailey at Bondi Beach for us now. Zach, this appears to have unfolded just after 6:30 this evening. We're hearing that multiple people have been shot after a gunman opened fire, we understand, near Campbell Parade, at the southern end of Campbell Parade. We're looking at vision now of people fleeing the scene when these shots rang out around 6:40 this evening. It was a scene of absolute terror. We have heard reports that multiple people have been shot. We're not clear yet on casualties. You are there now. What can you tell us? What are you seeing? What are you hearing?
Yeah, good evening, Georgie. We've literally just pulled up in the car after hearing of this news when we were live on air into the 6 p.m. news in Sydney. I can tell you right now there is a chopper in the air. There are a lot of police vehicles on the way from our office here to the beach. There were police cars, there were ambulances, there were emergency services just flying past on their way here to Bondi Beach. There are a lot of locals right now standing around asking questions, wondering what unfolded. I'm lucky enough now to be joined by two locals here who were here and heard the gunshots ring out. Phil, can you just tell us exactly what you saw a little short time ago?
Yeah, sure. We were just here having an ordinary Sunday afternoon, and we just heard what sounded like fireworks. The beach was absolutely packed, and then there were a lot of fireworks going off, and then suddenly we saw thousands of people just running this way. So we all just went inside, holed up in the toilets. I've got a friend that's holed up in a basement now. Everybody went inside. We were there for about maybe 20 minutes, came out again, and it was similar to this. And then we saw thousands of people running down the road towards us again. So again, holed up, and we just locked ourselves down.
When did you realise that it wasn't fireworks and it was a really serious situation?
You just don't expect this type of thing, and it just seemed very surreal. And it didn't sound like gunshots. It wasn't a snap. It was kind of a dull, like fireworks. So we were a bit shaken. And I guess it's when we saw thousands of people running from the beach, we realised that it was, it was more than that. And then suddenly the adrenaline kicked in and we all got inside. So.
And I guess you're here in Sydney, you're here in Bondi normally on a Sunday afternoon in summer. It's a great place to be, but that must have been arguably the most scary moment of your life.
It just never happens here, does it? And I live here and I love living here, but it was very scary. Yeah.
And when you said you got held up here, you took cover. Was it just here?
Literally, I grabbed a bunch of people. So I was here with a friend. Everybody ran, right? So my friend's holed up in a basement somewhere at the moment. I just grabbed who I could and just said, let's get in the toilets, and lock ourselves down. People shut the doors, and it was the same everywhere. Suddenly, it was very, very busy. It just went to everybody just running terrified. So.
Yeah. And obviously there's a lot of people now here back out in the street. When did everyone start coming back out and thinking it might have been safe to come out?
Yeah, maybe 20 minutes ago we came out and we saw there was a few people milling around, and but obviously we're here with our eyes open because the choppers are still up there, and that probably tells us that they haven't found whoever it was. So yeah.
Phil, thank you so much for your time joining us here in such a tragic scenario. You're also here, you're a local here as well. Similar sentiments in terms of what you saw?
Yeah, it was just horrific. We were having a great time. It was such a beautiful day. There were thousands of people on the beach. Just everyone was relaxed. It was a relaxed Sunday, and then we heard all these, what we thought was fireworks, and we just said, it's a bit early for fireworks, blue sky, there's a lot of fireworks. And we all sort of stopped talking and looked over, and it was like, oh my gosh, about within 30 seconds of the beach, there's thousands of people just like running. And I opened up the back gate to my friend's cafe and just let everyone in, pregnant women, women with kids, just everyone's running and just running. Like it was just panic. It was pandemonium. I'm shaking still.
How scary is that situation when when everyone is out enjoying themselves, and then that happens?
It was out of left field. It was just completely unexpected, and it's obviously very tragic. Yeah.
And you're feeling okay?
Not really.
Still shaking?
Yeah, I'm still shaking, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us on such short notice, and thank you for everything you did to get everyone safe here in Bondi.
Yeah, thanks.
Georgie, it's really a surreal scenario right here, just given there are a lot of people just standing around now. It feels quite eerie that right now it seems quite safe. We don't know what the situation is towards the northern end of the beach, where you can see emergency services. There is an emergency service boat out in the water as well. As I said, there's a police chopper up above. There's roadblocks. Unfolding situation that's seriously scary, especially happening here in Sydney on a Sunday afternoon when so many people were out enjoying the good things about Sydney, the summer, the sun and the coast. But we'll have more and hopefully catch up with more people and have a few more details after what's been a horrific situation here in Bondi this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Just stay there if you could. So just confirming, 10 people shot after a gunman, possibly 2 gunmen. We're not sure, that is still to be confirmed, but at least 1 gunman opened fire at the southern end of Campbell Parade at Bondi Beach just after 6:30 this evening. We can confirm 3 people are dead. Details are still sketchy, but a man believed to be one of the shooters, we understand, has been shot by police. A second shooter, we believe, has now been arrested. These are some of the scenes from this afternoon. This all unfolding at about 6:40 this evening. People understandably absolutely terrified, and we have vision of people fleeing, scrambling for shelter as those shots run out. Some reports suggest that there were dozens of shots, in fact. This vision has just come through to the newsroom. Such chilling scenes, understandably, people absolutely terrified as that all unfolded. It's been, of course, a very hot day, a warm day. The beach was filled with people enjoying the summer evening. The restaurants lining Campbell Parade, obviously filled with people. So when those shots fired out, you can understand people were absolutely terrified and scrambling to safety. We understand at least 10 people shot. There's been a massive response, as you can understand, from emergency services. We see vision there of a chopper flying overhead as police try and ascertain exactly what has gone on here. Our reporter Zach Bailey is there at the southern end of Campbell Parade at Bondi. Zach, I know you've been speaking to some locals. Have you managed to obtain any more information?
No, I just spoke to Phil and Frankie Lewis, who were here when the shots rung out. They were in this southern end of the beach, away from where the incident occurred, to the northern end of the beach, as you said, at the southern end of Campbell Parade there, here in Bondi. We are trying to speak to some locals now to find out what they saw and what actually transpired. But as I mentioned before, the helicopter, the police chopper is still up in the air. I've never seen a scene like this where there has been so many emergency services, vehicles, whether police, ambulances, on the streets. Right now it is a really eerie scenario. You're hearing sirens, you're hearing the chopper, and a lot of people just in their small groups speaking and I guess recounting to themselves what went on here just late this afternoon, early this evening here at Bondi Beach.
This, of course, is an unfolding situation, Zach, but we have heard reports that there were potentially 2 gunmen. We've heard reports that, in fact, one of them has been shot by police. A second, we understand, has been arrested. These are confronting scenes that we are showing now, of course, of some of the casualties. Are you hearing any more in terms of anyone actually sort of witnessing anyone armed with a gun or any of the events that unfolded?
We're about 150 metres or so, maybe even further, a couple of hundred metres away from where the incident actually occurred. So the people here, I guess their first thought was their own safety. So they've fled into the cafes here. They've gone into wherever they could to get safety and get some cover to ensure that they weren't a casualty in this horrific situation. We haven't spoken to anyone directly that has seen anyone with a gun. Obviously, a lot more news is coming into the news, a lot more information is coming into the newsroom as we speak. But I guess the aim over the next little while is to speak to some witnesses here and see what exactly unfolded here at Bondi Beach about an hour and a half ago.
Just describe the atmosphere for us there now, if you could, Zach. I imagine people are just in an absolute state of shock. I mean, to see vision like this on Bondi Beach in Sydney, Australia, we just never expect it.
No, you certainly don't, Georgie. As I said, a beautiful Sunday evening here. A lot of people on the hill, on the beach, in the bars, the cafe, enjoying themselves. And the great things about Sydney, the beach and the water and the great vibes leading into Christmas, which is now less than 2 weeks away. I guess it is quite eerie because not too long ago it was a serious situation here where people were fleeing, whether it be into the water, up the hill, into cafes, into shops, into bars, trying to stay safe and get to safety. Yeah. And obviously since then a lot of people have now come back out onto the streets. There's a lot of people on their phones, I guess, checking in with loved ones. There's a lot of people getting phone calls from their loved ones to tell them that they are okay, or them checking in on their safety. A lot of people talking in small groups, maybe describing what they saw and again what we're recounting here and just how tragic this afternoon has been.
Absolutely. Just recounting for people who might only just be tuning in, we can tell you that this evening dozens of shots have been fired at Bondi Beach with multiple casualties reported. This all unfolding just after 6:30 this evening. As you can imagine, the beach was just crammed with people enjoying the summer evening, restaurants filled with patrons, and we're hearing reports of dozens of shots ringing out. That, of course, led to mass panic, people fleeing the area. You can see vision now. We have, I understand, an account from one witness that's just come in. We'll throw to that now.
What the gun? What the Yo, what the dude? What the What the What the
Yeah, they're chilling scenes, aren't they? People just absolutely incredulous that something like this could be happening at Bondi Beach. We are hearing that 3 people have in fact died in this shooting. One, we understand, and this is all yet to be confirmed, but the reports at this stage are that a man believed to be one of the shooters has in fact been shot by police. A second shooter, as we believe it, has been arrested. Zach, what else have people been able to tell you there? It appears that it really just came from the blue. People had absolutely no sense of anything brewing in the lead up to this.
Yeah, Georgie, as you said a short time ago, you don't expect this to happen at Sydney's most iconic beach, Bondi Beach, on a Sunday afternoon. Everybody enjoying their evening, whether in the bars, the cafes, on the beach, on the sand, on the hills here. As you know, it is one of the true diamonds and the jewels in our crown of a city. People enjoying summertime down here on a Sunday evening, a Sunday afternoon, and then out of nowhere, a lot of people thinking it was fireworks and then realise, well, it's not nighttime yet, and those noises, those bangs continue to ring out through the streets here and across the beach, and that's when everyone realised, well, no, they're not fireworks. This is a serious situation. I guess they feared the worst in that moment, and that's why so many people fled into the cafes, under tables, wherever they could to get safety. As you mentioned, there have been fatalities, and that is such a tragic tragic scenario here. As we go to air now, there's police vehicles still streaming down the streets here at high speed. The police chopper helicopter is still above. There's police trying to get locals away who are obviously asking questions about what transpired here this evening. They're trying to get people out of this scenario. This is a major emergency situation. There's no doubt a lot more unfolding towards the northern end of Bondi Beach, where we're at the southern end right now, that we don't know about. The details will no doubt come to light in the next few hours, no doubt more tomorrow as well, and we'll have everybody across them here on 9. But as you can see now, another ambulance coming down the street. We don't know exactly how big a situation this is and how many people have been injured or have tragically lost their lives in what's been a horrific and terrifying incident at one of Australia's most iconic beaches.
Yeah, so this is what we know right now. We know that 3 people have been killed following this shooting at Bondi Beach. It all unfolded at about 6:40 this evening. We know now that there were 2 shooters, and we are being told that one of them is dead. We understand shot dead by police. Another is in police custody. We're going to throw now to an account from a local resident, someone who I believe witnessed all of this from her apartment on Bondi Beach. Let's go to that now.
Guys, I'm okay. I was down on the beach getting my food, and then all of a sudden I could hear all these like loud cracks. I thought it was a car backfiring, and then everyone started screaming and the police were clearing everyone out, telling everyone to run. So everyone just started running. I'm just seeing everyone like running, and the police and this guy's like shooting into the pavilion with an AK-47. Like, what the
So understandably, people in a state of absolute shock, absolute terror. We've seen vision of people absolutely scrambling from the scene, from the beach and from nearby restaurants, people seeking shelter, an absolute state of panic as these dozens and dozens of gunshots rang out just after 6:30 this evening. This vision here says it all. People just scrambling to safety. As we heard reports earlier, initially there was suggestion that in the lead up to Christmas it was fireworks, it was a festive noise that they were hearing, only to find out that in fact it was gunshots. Just surreal scenes at Bondi Beach. Zach Bailey spoke with 2 tourists who were caught up in the stampede, and this is a little bit of what they had to say.
Phil, can you just tell us exactly what you saw a little short time ago?
Yeah, sure. We were just here having an ordinary Sunday afternoon, and we just heard what sounded like fireworks. The beach was absolutely packed, and then there were a lot of fireworks going off, and then suddenly we saw thousands of people just running this way. So we all just went inside, holed up in the toilets. I've got a friend that's holed up in a basement now. Everybody went inside. We were there for about maybe 20 minutes. Came out again, and it was similar to this, and then we saw thousands of people running down the road towards us again. So again, holed up, and we just locked ourselves down.
When did you realise that it wasn't fireworks and it was a really serious situation?
You just don't expect this type of thing, and it just seemed very surreal, and it didn't sound like gunshots. It wasn't a snap. It was kind of a dull, like fireworks. So we were a bit shaken, and I guess it's when we saw thousands of people running from the beach, we realised that it was more than that, and then suddenly the adrenaline kicked in and we all got inside.
So if you're just joining us now, this is what we can tell you. We know that after multiple shots ringing out this evening at Bondi Beach, 3 people have been killed. We understand that there were 2 shooters. One of them is dead. We understand shot dead by police, and another has been taken into custody. Scenes of absolute terror and mass panic along Campbell Parade. We understand this all unfolded at the southern end of, the northern end of Campbell Parade at Bondi Beach, and literally thousands of people on the beach, in nearby restaurants lining Campbell Parade, were seen scrambling to safety. Many people just absolutely bewildered and terrorised by these dozens and dozens of gunshots ringing out. We're going to cross back now to our reporter Zach Bailey, who's on the scene. Zach, you mentioned earlier it is still a scene of absolute emergency with police and ambulance streaming down Campbell Parade. Have you got any more information, any more understanding of the gunman?
We don't at this stage, Georgie. We were trying to make our way closer to the crime scene at the northern end of Bondi Beach, but police were quickly onto us and just said, look, this is a major crime scene. There's police tape, as you can see here now, and there's riot squad over to my right, and they basically said, you've got to get out of here. This is a serious situation. No one's allowed in. Anyone that is left inside that police tape at the moment are being asked to leave, whether it be by car, whether it be by foot. Whoever is on the beach, whoever is still on the hills here, they're trying to eliminate as many people from the situation. I've spoken to a few locals who want to get on camera. They said they didn't see much. A lot of them were up towards this southern end of the beach when the incident unfolded. And so they don't know much about the gunman. They didn't see the gunman. But yeah, a very tense situation here. You know, to see riot police here at Bondi, to see so many police vehicles here, to hear the police chopper, to see police boats, a couple of them out in the water, just crossing across every situation here to make sure that everybody here now is safe and they can get all the details and as many details as possible about exactly what transpired here about an hour and a half ago.
All right, Zach, well, we will cross back to you and try and get more information from the scene. We're going to play you more vision of people who were caught up in this terrifying situation and fleeing as it all unfolded.
What the gun? What the Yo, what the dude? What the What the What the
Yeah, understandably chilling scenes as people were fleeing and in a state of absolute panic. This, of course, is an ongoing police operation, but we do believe that 2 people are now in police custody. Police are still urging, I should mention, police are still urging people to avoid the area, to go nowhere near the area and to obey any directions from police. So if you're just joining us, just to confirm, dozens of shots have been fired at Bondi Beach late this afternoon, early evening. It all started to unfold just after 6:30 this evening, and residents reported police cars just streaming into the area, into Campbell Parade. This has all unfolded at the northern end of Campbell Parade at Bondi Beach. We understand 10 people, as many as 10 people have been shot, 3 of them dead, and we believe one of those casualties is one of the shooters. Really eerie vision coming in to the newsroom this evening, and details, as we understand it, are still... oh, excuse me, I'm just getting direction now. We're going... Okay. Apologies, information is just coming in, but we're going to now try and speak to an eyewitness. Apologies, that's just, yeah, we're having some technical difficulties getting to witnesses, but as you can see, these are really quite chilling pictures that we're looking at right now. We're going to throw now to another account from a witness who was there on Bondi Beach late this evening.
What the gun? What the Yo, what the dude? What the What the What the
We heard all these, what we thought was fireworks, and we just said, oh, it's a bit early for fireworks. Blue sky, there's a lot of fireworks. And we all sort of stopped talking and looked over, and it was like, oh my gosh. About within 30 seconds of the beach, there's thousands of people just like running. And I opened up the back gate to my friend's cafe and just let everyone in, pregnant women, women with kids, just everyone's running and just running. Like it was just panic. It was pandemonium.
Phil, can you just tell us exactly what you saw a little short time ago?
Yeah, sure. Literally, we were just here having an ordinary Sunday afternoon, and we just heard what sounded like fireworks. The beach was absolutely packed, and then there were a lot of fireworks going off, and then suddenly we saw thousands of people just running this way. So we all just went inside, holed up in the toilets. I've got a friend that's holed up in a basement now. Everybody went inside. We were there for about maybe 20 minutes. Came out again, and it was similar to this, and then we saw thousands of people running down the road towards us again. So again, hold up, and we just locked ourselves down.
When did you realise that it wasn't fireworks and it was a really serious situation?
You just don't expect this type of thing, and it just seemed very surreal, and it didn't sound like gunshots. It wasn't a snap. It was kind of a dull, like fireworks. So we were a bit shaken, and I guess it's when we saw thousands of people running from the beach, we realised that it was, it was more than that, and then suddenly the adrenaline kicked in and we all got inside.
All right, we're going to cross now to Will Bottom from 2GB, who we understand witnessed this shooting. Will, have I got you there?
Hi, Georgie, you do.
Hi, tell us what you've seen.
Yeah, so for me, this started, I was on the phone to my mum and I missed a call from a friend of mine who I was going to call back when I got off the phone. She was actually in a pub, which it turns out is just across the road. Wouldn't even be 100 metres from where this has all happened. She texted me and said, has there been a shooting? We've just heard gunshots and we're all hiding in the stairwell. So I got off the phone to mum, rang this friend, and there was 30 to 40 people who were hiding inside the staircase. When I was in the eastern suburbs at the time, when I arrived here, there was around a dozen people who were being treated by paramedics, police, lifeguards, and just general members of the public as well. A lot of them on lifeguard boards. So, and a range of injuries. I know that we've had a number of people who've been shot dead. I saw another man with blood pouring out of his head. His entire face was just red from the blood. He looked like Spider-Man. There's another man, shirt off. He appeared to have been shot up the top between his beard and his shoulder. There was others who had CPR performed to them. So I believe that one of those people who was shot dead is one of the gunmen. We understand that there were multiple gunmen. Also that another victim was a police officer. So there's been multiple ambulances. There's still around 11 or 12 here in front of me at the moment. But over the last hour, they've been taking patients away. As I mentioned, there's probably a dozen of them to start with when I first got here, being treated on this grass reserve not too far from the beach, next to a footpath. There was an esky and glasses and alcohol thongs and things. So you presume that when this all took place, that everyone just ran in and did what they could to help. A lot of those people have now been taken to hospitals, including St Vincent's Hospital. There's been a gazebo brought into that area and plastic chairs. Most of that area is now cleared out, and those ambulances have been taking people away to the hospital, and then there's been fresh ones coming in to replace them. So there's still probably 11 or 12 ambulances here, and that's after the ones that have taken most of the gunshot victims. There's been the police tape extended and the crime scene pushed back further. So a lot of the people who provided some of that emergency and initial treatment, and here's another ambulance coming down the hill now, were actually members of the public. I know that lifeguards stepped in as well. There's been police. I saw a police officer who I know from the other side of Sydney that's been called here. So police have come from far and wide. There's been dozens and dozens of police cars and ambulances, including the tactical response group in their camouflage, walking around with their guns. I've seen videos from a number of angles of people being worked on, but the gunmen themselves as well. One of those videos shot from behind and looking at a man holding a gun and looking down towards the water, and you can hear those gunshots. So at the moment, inside the water, There's not one person. You never see Bondi Beach like this, but the water at the moment is completely cleared out. There are 2 police boats with their red and blue lights that are in the water. There's a couple of police helicopters above as well. For the last hour, there's been one of those, but there's a second one that's just joined as well. And then as I look, there's a lot more emergency services that are now just making their way down from sort of the Bronte end, coming down the hill with their red and blues that I can see. So I'm up the other end of the beach where this has occurred, near North Bondi RSL. I spoke to a man who was out surfing at the time, and he heard the gunshots, presumed it was fireworks, and then made his way back in and saw all the people who were hurt and being worked on. So we hope that the others who are still with us pull through, and we're thankful for the emergency services who are here. But sadly, we know that some people have been shot dead.
Yeah.
And Campbell Parade remains closed to all traffic. The buses are being diverted away from the area as well. So there's a bus here that's next to me. It's empty at the moment. The bus driver's standing out next to it. As for the friend who is hiding out inside the pub, I've spoke to her now, and they've all been able to come out. Some of them are actually standing up on the rooftop and watching. They've been watching this over the last hour or so, but it's directly just across the road from where it's happened, probably only 100 metres away.
Well, we greatly appreciate your assessment there of the scene. As you say, still an unfolding emergency and some really horrifying, really graphic scenes playing out. We're going to cross now to our reporter, Masilia Ali, who I believe is at the northern end of Campbell Parade. Masilia, can you hear me? Yeah,
Good evening to you, Georgie. I can, and I'm just going to go straight into some breaking news that we've been told within the last few minutes or so from police officers to anyone around this area. Do not come. From what we've been told, I'm just going to show you the bridge here behind me where we understand this shooting to happen is right now being examined for possible live detonators. That means potentially live bombs hidden on that bridge right now that police, the riot squad, the tactical operations unit are right now combing through trying to find. As you can see as well, you've got a number of ambulances that are coming in and out, taking a number of patients. From what we understand, the number of people potentially that have been affected is more than 20. Can't confirm exactly how many of those are alive and how many are still being treated in hospital or here at the scene, but we understand up to 20 people have been affected by this terrible shooting here this afternoon. As you can also see above me, you might be able to hear it, the police helicopter has been swirling above us for the last half an hour or so since we've been here. I also imagine trying to see if that can detect anything to help the officers right now on the ground who are trying to find those potential detonators, Georgie.
Masilia, we've heard reports of 3 dead and that one of those was believed to be one of the shooters, in fact shot by police. Are you able to confirm that? Are you hearing anything there on the ground?
Yeah, Georgie, I can confirm that one of the shooters is dead and 2 other civilians who were on the beach at the time have been confirmed dead. Another shooter has been taken to hospital, I understand, still alive. Unable to confirm exactly what condition he's in, but we know that he is alive. And as I mentioned before, I've been told, Georgie, that death toll is going to climb. Unsure how many, some I've been told maybe 10, maybe even 15, and another 12 people injured. Now, we haven't been told or given any confirmation, but we do know that there was some sort of Hanukkah celebration at the beach at the time, but at this stage there's no confirmation on whether that was linked or whether they were targeted or anything like that.
All right, Masilia, stand by. We will cross back to you shortly, but I'm going to return now to Zach Bailey. And Zach, I believe you've got another witness there with you. What can they tell us?
Good evening, Georgie. We've repositioned down onto the corner of Hall and Campbell Parade. Ismail saw the terrifying incident unfold. Ismail, can you please tell our viewers at home exactly what you saw here this evening?
I was on the beach with my friend, and after we just tried to walk to Bondi Pavilion, and in one moment we just listened a lot of shots, and the person with blood tried to run for stay alive, and after all the people on the beach, all the person try to walk in the opposite of the direction when the person try to kill someone. And after when we go back to my car, I can see the person in the floor with the blood person was died, baby, and the mom. I'm shocked about that.
Just tragic. How close were you to the gunman and the incident that transpired?
Excuse me, can you repeat?
How close were you to where the incident transpired?
Yeah, I'm just on the beach and I just try to go back to my car, and in one moment we listen a lot of shot by a rifle, and I just asked to my friend what's happened, and after my friend said, I don't know, and we just see the person with the blood and with the impact of the bullets, and he said, attack, 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 run, 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 and all the people don't ask any question and just walk out the opposite. And after we see the video about the attack, and yeah, that's my view.
So you were also one of the people that ran for your life here in Bondi?
Yeah, of course, yeah. All the people run for the life, because I think the person tried to kill everyone on the beach, you know? Really everyone on the beach. I can see the mom, the dad, the old person, the kids. It's, to be honest, it's very... Yeah, I'm shocked about that.
Are you a local here or are you a tourist?
No. I live here. I'm French. I live here. I live here, and yeah, I'm so sad for Australia, because France also have the terrorist attack in the past in Paris, and I understand. You know, I understand, and I'm with Australia for that.
We thank you so much for your time joining us so soon after a horrific event, and thank you for recounting your version of what happened here today.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Georgie, I'm now going to be joined by a councillor, a Waverley councillor, Margaret, who's been a local here for 34 years. You weren't here when the incident transpired, but when news came in and you came down here, can you just describe your feelings?
Sure. Look, it's absolutely devastating. I mean, obviously we don't know exactly what's happened yet, but it's clearly something very significant, very serious, very heartbreaking. I was just walking down to go for an evening walk and came into this drama. It's absolutely shocking. I'd probably really stress that people need to listen to the police right now and take direction from the police and stay safe.
You've been a local here for 34 years. Did you ever think you would witness something like this in your own backyard?
Never something like this, and certainly never something like this, not of this scale. This is absolutely shocking.
And obviously there are a lot of local people here now, a lot of people hanging around. The impact this will have on the community now moving forward, in terms of it's normally a festive time of the year, but no doubt a lot of people will be scared to go out, go to these famous landmarks, and thinking of those who have been heavily affected by this incident.
I think I think you're absolutely right. I think the fallout from this is almost doesn't bear thinking about at this time of the year. The wonderful inclusive community that we enjoy down here in Bondi and that we have had for so many generations. This is absolutely heartbreaking, and I'm kind of without words. Actually, I'm really shocked.
I guess you're still coming to terms with this, like everyone is, that this has happened at Bondi on a Sunday afternoon, less than 2 weeks out from Christmas.
Yeah, it defies belief. It really defies belief. To have helicopters above, to have this police presence, there's ambulances, there's sirens. It's shocking to think that this has come to Bondi.
One thing we know about Bondi, Sydney, the Australian community, is that everyone bands together. Your message to those that have been affected by this, directly or indirectly, what's your message to them?
Oh, look, my message is that the Bondi community is a strong community. We've weathered many things over the years. Obviously, the tragedy up at Westfield recently, obviously we'll regroup and band together, but right now I think we need to pause and we need to find out what's actually happened. And I think that once we have some facts, we'll be able to work our way forward together as a community and hopefully heal from whatever has occurred here today. And my love and support goes out to anyone who's been directly affected.
Very well said. Councillor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Georgie, our hearts and our feelings and all of our thoughts right now go out to anybody that's been affected by this tragic incident here at Bondi Beach this afternoon.
Yeah, they most certainly do, Zach. Thank you very much for that. We're going to cross back now to our reporter, Massilia Ali. And Massilia, I believe you're with someone who can talk to this really disturbing vision we're looking at now of what appears to be the gunman opening fire, and then a local, or certainly someone standing by, taking on that gunman and managing to wrestle the gun from him, and as we can see, holding it to him, urging for help, urging for people to come and assist him. It's extraordinary vision. Have you got anyone there with you who, in fact, witnessed it? We're seeing locals actually throwing missiles at the alleged gunman.
I do indeed, Georgie. Good evening to you. Yeah. That's right, that's right. I'm here with this man who's actually just watched that video. Take us through what you saw.
My name is Alexander. I live in Bondi Beach. Well, obviously in social media, a lot of videos going through, and there was a heroic, but a good Samaritan Australian that jumped on the gun. One of the gunmen put him down, basically took the gun, was pointing the gun at him, but didn't shoot him because he didn't want to take the law to his own hands, which I think is the right thing to do, because he can't do that stuff basically just to shoot because he had a shooter. But in that case, it was all humanity judgment. It could have been the opposite. But all I want to say, basically a safe recovery for the injured. It's a sad day to Australia and a sad day to humanity. I've been in Australia for 31 years. I never thought ever in my life that something like that going to happen and come from what I've seen in the Middle East and all the areas there.
And sorry to cut you off, but you mentioned that. You said it was quite heroic in such a moment of terror. That small act 100%. Could possibly make such a big difference. It does,
because if he didn't stop him, he could have taken another few lives and moved forward. It's a moment of insanity and also courage under fire to go and do something like that, So it's like, God bless him, man, we had a man like that, basically, that put his own life at risk to save some more life, basically, not escalate it to the even next level, yeah.
Thank you so much, Alexander. Georgie, as I mentioned earlier, the scene to my right here is still very much active. You can see it's still closed off for several kilometres here this evening. As I mentioned, that operation right now on the bridge is still underway, and in fact it keeps going. We keep seeing more and more police officers and tactical operations unit arriving here and going inside, and we've been told that once that operation is over, we will be given that update, but for now it is ongoing. And a reminder to anyone who's thinking of coming to this area to stay away. Of course, there are still several dozen people here tonight who have been here all afternoon and who are staying for any updates. And a message to those people from police is to try and stay as far away as you possibly can.
Ms. Celia, if you could, can you elaborate on why there is an ongoing active investigation on that bridge? You mentioned before the suggestion of potential bombs or things that could have been left on that bridge that could still be live and at risk of detonating. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Georgie. Now, as we understand it, one of the shooters was actually based on that bridge. It's hard to see from where we're standing right now, but one of those shooters was based on that bridge. And from what police tell us, they believe that there was some sort of detonators or potential detonators that were left or placed there at some point. And that is what they're right now trying to find and essentially remove from the area so that they can begin their investigation into what's happened here this afternoon. But for now, as I mentioned, it's still very much active because they're yet to locate what they believe are those potentially active detonators.
All right, and as far as you know, Ms. Celia, as many as 20 people have been shot. We know 3 have been killed. One of them, we believe, is one of the 2 shooters. Are you hearing any update on numbers in terms of casualties?
No exact update yet. To be quite honest with you, even as we arrived about 45 minutes ago, there was still a number of people who were being taken away. So I imagine that number's going to keep increasing. But from what I've been told, potentially more than 10 people dead and more than 12 people injured. And that's the rough number at this very early stage, not having been able to count exactly how many people are in hospital right now. We understand there have been a number of people being taken to a number of hospitals right across Sydney, not just St Vincent's, that experts near here at Bondi. They're being taken right across Sydney because of the sheer number of people that have been injured or impacted by this event here tonight. I'm sure you can hear it, Georgie, that helicopter that I mentioned to you earlier still circulating, and that's an indicator that that operation that I've been telling you about is still ongoing, but that because we've been told that helicopter is very much a part of that police operation. And if I take you around, you can see the number of people that have been here since this incident happened this afternoon. Now, of course, police have told us to try and urge as many people to stay away as possible, but all of these people have actually been here for most of the afternoon and have seen most of what's unfolded here this afternoon.
As you say, Marsilia, still an incredibly dangerous situation. We're going to cross now to our reporter, Pippa Bradshaw, who joins us from St Vincent's Hospital. We understand, Pippa, some of the casualties have been rushed there. What can you tell us? What do you know?
Yeah, that's right, Georgie. We've seen a number of casualties be brought here to St Vincent's Hospital. The latest has just come into the ambulance bay. They've just offloaded that patient into the hospital behind me, and that patient did come in with 2 police cars and other police officers running in behind it. So we're not sure, obviously, who that is at this stage. But before that, we have seen around 7 ambulances here tonight rush in. All had police escorts. Some even had police driving as paramedics worked on those in the back of the ambulances. We've also seen a number of distressed people arrive here at the hospital this evening. They've been sent around the other entrance, but you can only imagine how some of those people may be feeling tonight, worried about their loved ones who have been told they've been bringing them here in the back of an ambulance.
All right, we're going to now there has in fact been a statement from the Prime Minister that I am going to read to you. Actually, Pippa, in the meantime, we've got vision now of just extraordinary vision of the gunman being wrestled by a Good Samaritan who in fact managed to wrestle the gun from the gunman and keep him at bay. I mean, just unbelievable vision, which some witnesses have been managed to talk to. I mean, there's another local who threw a missile at this man, and there, in fact, on the bridge was what we believe to be the second shooter, shots ringing out. This all unfolding just after 6:30 this evening, right next to a packed Bondi Beach. The beach just absolutely crammed full of beachgoers and people at the local restaurants lining Campbell Parade. Incredibly confronting and chilling vision, as you can see. The Prime Minister has issued a response to this incident. He says the scenes in Bondi are shocking and distressing. Police and emergency responders are on the ground working to save lives. My thoughts are with every person affected. I've just spoken to the AFP Commissioner and the New South Wales Premier, and we are working with New South Wales Police and will provide further updates as more information is confirmed. And of course, there is still very much an urgent warning for anyone in the vicinity to follow information from New South Wales Police. Now, we know several people have told 9 News they initially thought the gunshots were fireworks, understandably, in the lead up to Christmas, with festivities playing out around the city. It didn't take them long, though, to work out that, in fact, the shots, that they were, in fact, shots fired and not fireworks. Our reporter Damien Ryan spoke to one such witness who was there.
Today down at Bondi, you know, the drums were playing, it was really nice, but the feeling was just off. I was at the front of the pavilion. There was a big barbecue going on here. I didn't really know what it was about. And then it just sounded like fireworks just going off. And then everyone just ran down to the beach. Everyone ran up Campbell. Everyone ran up Hall Street. No one knew where the shooters were. It was just pandemonium. Very scary. And then I circled back around Kahlua Street. And then everyone started running up Kahlua Street. Did you see the shooter? No.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, they are some of the chilling scenes that have played out at Bondi Beach early this evening, just after 6:30. People there fleeing the scene after multiple shots fired out. We can tell you that at least 10 people, possibly more people, have been shot, at least 3 dead. We're going to cross now to our reporter Annalise Bolt, who joins us from RPA Hospital, and a hospital where more people have been rushed to this evening. Annalise.
Yeah, Georgie, extraordinary scenes here at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. This is one of Sydney's major trauma hospitals. We've just had an ambulance arrive here under police escort. It came speeding down the road under lights and sirens, and there is a patient now that is being taken out of the back of that ambulance. They've set up a triage at the gates of the hospital here, and they've been bringing patients in and making sure that they get the care that they need. We've actually seen 5 ambulances arrive here now with sirens blaring. We've also seen at least one car, just a normal car that's raced into the car park here, just normal people that are driving their loved ones to hospital to get them the care that they need. Staff met them at the door. They brought out a wheelchair. That man was conscious and he's wheeled inside. We can see another patient that's being wheeled through the doors of emergency here at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. We did see another patient who was a young man. He was in his 20s, around that age. He was wheeled out of the back of an ambulance, and he was an American tourist, and he was taken through the doors of the hospital here. This is one of Sydney's major trauma hospitals. This scene will be the same at other hospitals around Sydney. We have 10 confirmed people that have been shot, but just as we've been standing here, just in the past half an hour, we have seen at least 5 patients that have been brought here just to this one hospital. So we can expect that number of injured to rise. It's just not confirmed at this stage. We have also seen quite a few people arriving at the hospital that are quite distressed. They're rushing through the doors. They're concerned about their loved ones. They've been told that they've been brought here after those extraordinary scenes in Bondi this evening, Georgie.
Extraordinary scenes indeed, Annalise. Thank you very much for that update. We're going to go back now to Bondi Beach, and reporter Damien Ryan joins us. Damien, there is a bit of conjecture in terms of how many shooters have been involved in this horrific incident. We were led to believe that there were 2, and one, in fact, has been shot dead by police. The other is in custody. There might be suggestion now, in fact, that there were 3 gunmen. Have you got any update on that at all?
Good evening to you, Georgie. I'm just going to pick up for Damo. He actually doesn't have an earpiece in, so he can't hear your question. But Damo, Georgie on the line, she's just asked about those people who've deceased. We know that there's 2 people included, and then the third potentially the shooter. What have you heard from what you saw?
Well, I've spoken to someone who witnessed the shooting and how it ended. He said a policewoman shot dead. One of the men. There was another man that was shot dead, not shot, but fatally wounded. They tried to work on him. There was no good. And then a third person basically surrendered. Locals jumped on him and tried to give him a hiding, but police stepped in and threw him in the back of a paddy wagon. But enough said about those 3 people. What we did see down there, on a beautiful Sunday night, Bondi Beach, incredible.
Yeah. You were there quite early.
Families there, little children wounded, blood all over them. There was a man that I spoke to who had blood all over his head. He saw and heard the gunman. He heard the gunman first, then saw the gunman. He took cover. There was about 300 people there at the Hanukkah Festival, a Hanukkah festival for children. And in his situation, he was so panicked, grabbed his children, couldn't find his wife, took cover, and then managed to get out unscathed. Except for, of course, he had a blood on his head, but he was lucky. And he said he saw so many dead bodies around him. Then we saw paramedics. We saw a policeman driving ambulances away because they needed the paramedics on the ground to deal with all the casualties. And they were rushing to hospital. Then I saw, as I said, I saw children. I saw an elderly woman. They obviously they worked on her, it was no good, and they covered her face. knowing that she was not going to make it. It was insane.
You've been doing this job for more than 30 years now, not only in Sydney but all around the world. I guess in your time and in your experience, have you ever seen anything like this?
Yeah, I have seen many things like this, but not when it's in my backyard. So, yeah, it was tough, but much tougher for all these people. And they all asked why, everyone was asking that. There were Jewish leaders down there trying to calm the masses, but, it was hectic. It was seriously hectic. And the paramedics were run off their feet. An incredible sign, a symbol that you'll see later of the photographs of the wounded being carried out on surfboards because there weren't enough stretchers. And, that sort of sums it all up, doesn't it? The most famous beach in the world, and you've got this bloody mayhem. So it was tough, and now the good news is that the 3 people have been accounted for. We've got one still alive that can explain himself, hopefully, and then you've got a community, not just a Jewish community, you've got all over Australia, I'm sure, feeling for what's happened here today.
And as I mentioned to the viewers and to you a little bit earlier, it's not over yet. It's still an ongoing situation. They're not out of the danger zone yet, and it's already been several hours.
No, we don't know. There's talk of a device left at the scene, because if anyone knows North Bondi, you've got these bridges, walk bridges, which go over the car park, and that's where the 3 gunmen were. There was like a shooting gallery, just taking aim, semi-automatic, and that's why, people have said to me, Damien, there was 100 shots fired. And you can imagine, in firing 100 shots into a large group of people, you're going to pick people off, and that's what they did. It was extraordinary. This will take a long time. This time of the year, how many years ago was the Link Cafe? It was around this time of the year, and Sydney was in mourning for what went on in the heart of the city. Now we're on one of our most famous beaches, and a tragedy has really played out here.
You got here pretty quickly to have seen so much of it firsthand. How quickly did you get here?
I was here probably about 15 minutes. I think shooting started around 6:45. I was here by probably 7:10. And so by that time it was over, thank God. But there was still a lot of panic. People were still running because people didn't know, how many gunmen are. They'd yell out, how many gunmen? I said, I don't know. And I said to the police, how many gunmen? They said, we don't know, Damien. And so once they worked it out that they had the 3 people involved, they were dealt with. So now we're going to go through this. This is going to be a crime scene for probably 3 days, 4 days. We're getting so close to Christmas. Yes, so close to Christmas. And you're going to be burying people. You're going to have people in hospital. Yeah, it's wicked.
And yeah, exactly right. You're obviously a local from the eastern suburbs. Take us through the community here, how tight-knit it is and how much this is going to affect and shake this community. Oh,
the Jewish community, have had a wicked time, haven't they? It's not been fun times for them. And it is a very close community. I mean, the Jewish community and the locals, even the local surfing community, they all cross-pollinate. We're all together. And I think that the Jewish community have always feared something like this. In fact, I must remember there was one man that I spoke to, and I'm sure you'll see his interview tonight. He's the man he's got blood on his head and he's got a bandage swathed around his head, and he's the one with the wife and the 2 kids. He was in Israel and survived October 7. He was there and said he came here recently to sort of help the Jewish community in Australia. And wow, and now he's been caught up in this.
Damien Ryan, one of I'm sure many viewers know 9 News senior reporter who got here quite early, Georgie, as he's mentioned, and he's seen so much of this and spoken to so many people who were affected by it. Now, we are expecting an update from police within the next 5 minutes or so, potentially on the number of casualties, the number of people injured, as well as an update on that ongoing operation that we've mentioned, and we'll bring those details to you, Georgie, as they come.
Ms. Ali, we greatly appreciate it, and it's very clear to see that that Damien Ryan is deeply affected by this, as are so many people. I want to bring in Alison Petrowski, who joins me now on the desk. I mean, Ali, as we look at that vision of what has unfolded on Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia, it is just hard to reconcile, isn't it? It is just not a scene that we are familiar with on home territory.
Georgie, I'm a former US correspondent. Unfortunately, I've been to a lot of mass shootings around the world, many in America. I never thought that we would see a scene like this playing out, not only in Australia, but on Australia's most iconic beach. The images that we're seeing on our screens will play not just throughout tonight and the next few days, that this will echo right through our society, and we'll be watching these images for decades, Georgie. It is quite extraordinary as we try and wrap our heads around it. These are videos taken by eyewitnesses at the scene. And I think we should say, Georgie, to our audience, many people are turning on the TV to get information. It is important that you stay with us, that you don't go looking on social media. I warned my family as I left the house, because what happens in these mass shooting events is awful images are posted. I cannot state strongly enough, Georgie, how important it is to keep your children away from social media. Yeah. And, thank goodness we have a social media ban that kicked in this week, but there are some horrific images doing the rounds on social media, and also some extraordinary images, as you said, Georgie, that bystander who has tackled one of what we now believe is 3 gunmen that we're seeing on our screens right now.
This is the vision now, and my goodness, if that doesn't deserve hero status, I don't know what does. But it is still, I mean, we've watched it several times now, and it is still just so confronting and compelling, dare I say, to witness. That man has just appeared from nowhere. As we can see, he's wrestled the gun from the gunman and managed to keep him at bay. Another local chimes in and throws missiles at this man, as you're about to see there. I mean, that is, dare I say, heroic. Given what was playing out just metres away there on that bridge with the second gunman opening fire. It is just extraordinary.
And you never know how you're going to react in a situation like this if you're a bystander. The locals, we believe they may be locals, standing there who, you know, you hit fight or flight mode. They've hit fight mode, and they've gone straight to that gun, that man, and fired at him. Another local springing up into action as well. They are remarkable human beings, and to see that they are still at this point in time coming under fire, it is difficult to comprehend what would have been running through their heads, but they are heroes. They are incredibly brave, and we should be incredibly thankful that we have Australians like that, willing to intervene and help other Aussies when they're in dire need.
If you're just joining us, you are seeing a vision of a shooting that has taken place on Bondi Beach early this evening. It all played out just after 6:30. As you can understand, on a warm, balmy evening, the beach was lined with hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Campbell Parade, obviously a renowned spot for restaurants, for dining out. We're at a festive time of the year. So suffice to say, people everywhere, and we're hearing that dozens and dozens of rounds of shots fired out. A lot of people initially thinking it was fireworks, understandably, and then those scenes there of absolute panic, people fleeing the beach to safety, just running anywhere they could to find some form of protection. Sheer terror, not knowing quite what was happening. Suffice to say, Ali, we are sitting here watching this vision still in a state of shock ourselves.
We are absolutely. And look, we don't know what was at play exactly, but we do know that there was a Jewish event on at the Bondi Park Playground this afternoon, Chanukah by the Sea. By no means are we saying that this is some sort of targeted attack. We simply do not know that at all, but that is one of probably many events that were playing out on Bondi Beach. It is really, Georgie, isn't it the start of school holidays? Some students are already on holidays, many go on holidays stories this week. Plenty of Sydney-siders just enjoying our most iconic beach, taking in what would have been, you would normally imagine, a beautiful sunset at Bondi, you know, getting through the rest of the weekend, and to have this unfold in our backyard is simply extraordinary.
Absolutely. Many tourists who were on Bondi Beach understandably have been left absolutely shocked by these events, some taking cover in restaurants and in cafes, and our reporter Zach Bailey has just spoken to some of them. Here's what some of them had to say.
Maria, I'll start with you. You were here when the incident transpired. Can you just explain exactly what you saw?
Yeah, like we were celebrating her birthday. We got her like a ticket for the Sunset Cinema, so we just walked over the bridge. It happened, I think. We were like sitting for 2 minutes and then it started shooting. Like we thought it was a firework, but at some point all the people started screaming and we heard the first police car, so we took all of our stuff, just like hide around the corner, like because we didn't know where it comes from, what it is, and like I thought it would be stupid to just like start running right away because like I don't know, you never know if they are behind you or not. And then at some point the family with the babies come out and like I asked them what's happening and they were like screaming, they're here, they're in the pavilion, I don't know, like run, and like we took off our shoes and just like started running up the street. Like, I don't know, we have not like eaten dinner yet, so we were really weak, but you had to run like at this point, so I don't know, I've never felt that before. Yeah, like I thought we were gonna like maybe stay there and die, I don't know. Like it was really, really scary. Like yeah, I think my body just said like run. I don't know, yeah.
That must be so scary. Like you just said, you thought you could have died.
Yeah, it was like, I've never felt that before. You always like know it from the news. We're from Germany, so last Christmas there was like something similar like at the Christmas market, so you just thought like, okay, it will happen in the news, but you will never be there. But now we were like, I can't imagine, like I can't describe how it feels. Like I talked to like friends at home and my mom, and she was like, oh, that's scary and what the fuck happened, but I don't know, you can't really describe the feeling. Yeah.
You don't prepare for anything like that. Obviously you all ran together up the street here towards the southern end of the beach, but you were lost from your friends along the way. Can you just describe what happened there?
Yes, I was just running up the street and searched for them, and then I saw that I can't see them anymore and was in total panic, and I just ran and ran and ran. I don't even know where I went, and then I tried to find their location on my phone, and I just saw that they were in any street like on the right, and I ran into that direction and everybody was just like screaming around me, and then I saw an Italian restaurant and I thought they would be in there, so I just ran to the restaurant and they have locked the door, and then they opened the door again and let me in, and I don't know, I just had a crazy panic attack and tried to talk to the people there and tried to find them, but they weren't in the restaurant. And then in the restaurant, I don't know what happened, I was sitting like on a chair and everyone started screaming. They all were just like, go on the ground, hide, they are gonna shoot us, you have to lay down on the ground. And I just ran into, I think in a cooling room from the restaurant, and then I tried to hit there with a lot of other people being so scared. It was terrible, but luckily we're safe.
Right, lucky you are safe. And yourself, when you're running up the street and you lose your friend along the way, what's going through your mind when you're sitting there about to go to the cinema?
Of course.
And then you have to run for your lives?
Of course, you want to think about like your friends as well, all the people around you, but you have to think about yourself first. I mean, I was looking behind me for my friends. I saw Paulina, but then at one point we had to run because we thought the people were coming like towards like in our direction. So you have to think about you and your family at this point. I mean, we all thought like it's gonna be like the end now. Like we just heard like so many guns like going off. And
it was still going on like for a couple of minutes. Like when we were running, it was still shooting.
So the gunshots went for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, it was like pretty long. Like
even when
not normal.
When we were at the flat of this like couple, we still heard the shooting. So it was a really long time. It felt like hours.
Yeah. And when you were down there, obviously it all happened so quickly. But did you see what was happening behind you? Did you see people get shot or killed?
No,
I don't know, it was like a panic mode, so we just like looked at our phones, like what's going on, and then we started running. Yeah, like, no, we didn't look behind us. Yeah, it was just like run, run, run.
And obviously you're not from here, you're from Germany. Like Bondi, it's iconic. Sydney's one of Australia's best beaches. To witness that here, like how does that sit with you guys being tourists here? That we're just enjoying the moment.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, not what you expected. Like, I don't know, just like never in my mind that it could happen here right now. Like, you know that like there are some areas of Sydney where it's like maybe not that safe, but because this is like the populous place, you don't like have that in your mind. Like, for sure it happens here where a lot of people are, but yeah.
I actually have to say that my first opinion about Australia was that I feel so much more safe than in Germany, and I felt so much better the last month and felt safe the whole time, and I definitely didn't imagine having something like that.
I live on the northern beaches, so a little bit far away from here, and we're not often in Bondi, so we were really exciting to spend the day here, having some snacks on the beach, and then it turns out like this. It's
tragic. All right.
Tourists there articulating obviously what so many people have encountered this afternoon, just horrific scenes that no one would ever have expected at Bondi Beach. We've got an update in terms of casualties. We understand we are horrified and deeply saddened to tell you that 10 people have been confirmed dead at this shooting this evening at Bondi Beach. We understand one of them is one of the shooters, still to be confirmed 2, possibly 3 gunmen. The other shooter, a second shooter, is in police custody and we understand is injured. We are hearing at least 12 other people are injured, so 10 confirmed dead, 12 injured. This is still an incredibly dangerous scene. People are being urged to stay away from Bondi Beach. It is still part of a massive investigation. These are just statistics, Ali, that are hard to wrap your head around.
They are. It's not something that we ever hear of in Australia at all. And it strikes me that tomorrow is 11 years since the Lindt siege. When you think of moments that stopped the country, moments that stopped the nation, this is now on par with that. Obviously, this is still developing, but 10 people confirmed dead, many more injured. And we are only just beginning to get our heads around just the breadth of this. To hear Damien Ryan, one of our senior reporters, someone so revered in our newsroom who has reported on the biggest scenes around the world, he's reported from wars, but to hear that emotion in his voice a little earlier when we heard him, Georgie, to hear that crackling, this is going to hurt and hit so many Australians. We are a small community in a way, and everyone is going to know someone who has been affected by this, who has perhaps been killed by this, who has been seriously injured by this. The ramifications of this are enormous, and we're just wrapping our heads around it this evening.
We absolutely are. We understand that a number of people have been taken to Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney. Understandably, with so many casualties, ambulances have been rushing people to several hospitals. Royal North Shore is one of them, and that is where we find our reporter James Wilson. And James, I understand you might have some details of some of the patients who have been taken there to where you are.
That's right, Georgie. That alarming number of casualties, 10 confirmed deceased and at least 12 injured. Just 5 minutes ago, that triage is still continuing all across Sydney, including here at Royal North Shore Hospital. We just saw a police escort arrive, followed by an ambulance and a person taken into the emergency department. Among those injured, I'll just read this out: a child with an injury to their arm, a 62-year-old woman with injuries to her leg, a man with a bullet grazed to his head. Some horrific injuries. And of course, this triage is still happening while we go to where there are casualties still at Bondi Beach being seen to, and then they're being triaged to places like Royal North Shore Hospital where I am, RPA and St Vincent's, just to name a few. That sheer mass of casualties, obviously the load is having to be spread all across Sydney hospitals. And just to take you back to that moment 5 minutes ago, it was a police car, a highway patrol, flying up here under lights of sirens, followed by an ambulance. They quickly rushed that person straight through that emergency department. That ambulance then reversed out, lights and sirens, straight back down to what I can only presume is Bondi Beach, still so fresh and raw. And of course, that triage and emergency process is still happening as they grapple with the sheer amount of people that require treatment. And we can only imagine that the majority of these injuries are those gunshots. I just told you there, children, men, a 60-year-old woman caught up in this. It was a Hanukkah festival down at Bondi Beach, a family event with a petting zoo, rides and food. And of course, it's a reflection of just how diverse the community is down there, families as well as elder people and mothers and fathers. So all of those people now seeking help in hospitals across Sydney. I mentioned Royal North Shore, RPA and St Vincent's right now doing some of the heavy lifting.
James Wilson at Royal North Shore Hospital, we appreciate the update. Thank you so much. We're going to cross back now to our reporter Damien Ryan, who is at Bondi Beach. Damo, as we come to you, we of course are confirming that 10 people have been killed, including one of the shooters. The other shooter, we understand, is in police custody. We're hearing at least 12 others have been injured. 2 police officers have been shot. It's unclear as to whether they were part of those 12. These are just horrific statistics, and we're all still in a state of shock as we look again at this vision of this, what we can call now a mass shooting playing out this evening at Bondi Beach.
Well, this is what's going to happen when you're firing at least 100 shots, minimum I'm hearing at this point, from a semi-automatic rifle and a shotgun. Initially, as I reported, I was told by a witness that he thought there were 3 gunmen. Police are now telling us that it's actually 2. One is dead and another is in custody. There are images of him being put in the back of a paddy wagon. As for the casualties, I'm not surprised of that death toll because I spoke to people who were on the ground and said there were many, many people who'd been mortally wounded. Can you hear me, Georgie?
You, Damo. We can hear you, Damien, yes.
Sorry, but there's a bit of a southerlies coming in as we speak. And so, as I said, it was about 6:45. It was Hanukkah, a special festival, basically for families, of course, at this time of the year. And there was no doubt, police aren't going to confirm it just yet, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You don't have to be.
Damien Ryan.
What's going on here now? You've got a crime scene. This is going. Sorry.
Damien, as we...
Shall I keep talking? I'm really struggling here.
That's okay. As we talk to you, we are seeing more vision playing out from this afternoon with people fleeing the scene. As we know, it was just after 6:30 this evening when, as you say, multiple rounds of shots rang out. People there enjoying the balmy summer evening, people eating at all the local restaurants and cafes. We've heard from several witnesses now that they initially thought it was fireworks given the time of year and the festivities. And as you say, that Hanukkah festival there being staged on Bondi Beach. And it is still just extraordinary to now realise that, in fact, what was playing out was what you're seeing now on the screen. 2 gunmen, one there, as you can see, firing from that little footbridge at the northern end of Bondi Beach on Campbell Parade. It is just extraordinary scenes. Damien, have I still got you there?
Yes, you do, Georgie. I can, as you can say, let's go back to when I first arrived and what we saw. The thing that I could not believe was just locals, with carrying surfboards, carrying people to the ambulances. I mean, that's how dire this situation was. And so many people were wounded. People I spoke to their heads wrapped in bandages after being obviously you know, wounded, but there were so many people in need of help. And there is no doubt that the emergency services were stretched. It was a Sunday evening, a beautiful Sunday evening at Bondi Beach, the iconic Bondi Beach. The good thing is that the police station is literally 500 metres away, so the men and the women of the police force were quick on the ground. We know that a female police officer was one who helped it bring an end to this. She is understood to have fired a shot, but now we understand that 2 other police officers were wounded in what probably was a gun battle. We'll get to the bottom of that at some point. But and then you have, you can't see me now, but just literally 150 metres from behind me is the bridge, the walk bridge, where the gunmen used their, you know, took aim. And as I said before, it was like a shooting gallery, just shooting madly, frantically, disgustingly into a large crowd of people. And as I said, there was many, many families in that, and there is no doubt that children have been either killed or badly wounded in this dreadful situation.
Damo, it's Ali Petrowski on the desk with Georgie. You got there down there remarkably quickly, within 15 minutes of this happening. I want to know, with the people that you were seeing around you, did they understand that that was a mass shooting that they had witnessed? I know that in these moments people are stunned and they're shocked.
No.
Could they digest what had happened?
No, had no idea. No idea, Ali. People, as you were driving in, people were running out. You can understand that because they heard the gunshots, and they didn't know where they were really coming from, who was firing them, and who was being shot at. And so a lot of people just ran from the beach and cleared out, and it was the right thing to do, no doubt. Allowing the emergency services people to get here, those police officers, those crucial police officers who were here, who brought an end to this you know, tragedy as quickly as they could. But yeah, it was chaotic. As I was walking in, I'd say to people, "What's going on?" And they're going, "There's gunfire everywhere. We don't know where it's coming from, but we've got to get out of here." And of course, that was the exact thing they needed to do. And there are so many people that have been scarred by this. A lot of people in this Bondi community, the Jewish community, anyone who is here today, tourists at this famous beach, they're going to think, wow, what just happened here today?
It is absolutely chilling, Damo, as you say. In addition to these two, we understand, 2 shooters, there's also been reports of a pipe bomb found in a car at the scene, and we've got some shots just in to illustrate that. Damo, are you hearing anything on the ground about that?
Yeah.
That in addition to these gunmen firing rounds and rounds of shots, there was also potentially bombs that they had, you know, possibly planned to detonate?
Well, the Special Tactical Response Group here, they were the ones who zeroed in on that, whatever it was, where it was a parcel or where it was a bag. Of course, you have to take every precaution. At the moment, that area is still sealed off, so I suspect they're still having a look to see what it is. The bomb squad will come in and examine that it looks like a small bag, I think. What I have seen is the guns. There's images that I've seen of the guns that were left on the ground. They were, like, I'm not a gun expert, they were big guns. They were, looked like a semi-automatic rifle. So these guys were armed to the teeth. If they had a device, well, thankfully, thank God, they did not trigger. If it was a device, they didn't trigger it. But they will take extra precautions here. That's why we're well back. We're about 300 metres from the scene at the moment, and I suspect it's going to be like this for quite some time.
We will cross back to you again shortly, Damo, if you could stand by. Let's now, though, go to reporter Emma Partridge, who joins us from the Sydney Police Centre at Surrey Hills. Emma, we are expecting an update shortly from police. Can you give us any more information, though, where you are?
Yes, Georgie, I'm at the Sydney Police Centre in Surrey Hills, and we've just got word that the Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon and the Premier will be holding a press conference in about half an hour's time. I can also sadly confirm that news that we've reported earlier, that 10 people have been confirmed dead, including one of the shooters. I'm at the SPC here, which is in the heart of the city. Dozens of cars are leaving here with sirens on, and the most senior police in the state I have seen running into the building here. This is where the Police Operations Centre has fired up in the last 30 minutes, and a briefing's been held behind me inside. The head of the homicide squad is here, the Director of State Crime, senior police running inside, trying to figure out what's going on, the damage. It's a very sombre mood here, but it's just all hands on deck, and the investigation will be based out of here at the Sydney Police Centre, Georgie.
Emma, so as you say, we will hear officially from police in about half an hour from now, so possibly around 9:30 this evening. In the meantime, we're going to cross now to 60 Minutes producer Amelia Ballinger, who joins us by phone. Amelia, I don't know if you can hear me, but my understanding is you were at Bondi Beach when those shots began to ring out early this evening. Just, if you can hear me, talk us through what you heard and saw.
Hi, Georgie. Yeah, I was down at one of those restaurants right near where Damo is standing at the moment. We had, you know, like most locals who live in Bondi, had been down to the beach in the afternoon and enjoyed this beautiful sunny day, and we had walked past that party and commented, you know, how everyone looked like they were having a really nice time, and it would have only been 10 or 15 minutes later we were sitting at that restaurant very close to there and heard the first shot, which of course, like everyone says, sounds like a car backfiring or, you know, a firework. But almost as soon as I heard the second and then third shot, I had a sense of what was happening. We were sat outside on the pavement. I just said to the friend I was with, run, it's a gun. And we sprinted with a lot of other people, you know, lots of fear and lots of screaming and people not quite knowing what was going on. But we sprinted back to my apartment, which is about 5 minutes away from where that was all happening. But, you know, like a lot of people, we had left all our stuff there, no phones, no keys. And as we were running, I mean, you could still hear the shots. There were dozens of shots being fired, and that continued after we managed to get into the safety of our neighbour's apartment. Very kindly let us in, and we all bunkered down together. But obviously a terrifying situation and an awful situation for the people who live here. Now knowing what has unfolded and getting a sense of what has happened.
Amelia, it's Ali in studio with Georgie. You were a European correspondent for us for many years. You covered many terror attacks during your time in London. Can you run us through, I guess, the emotion that you felt in that first 60 seconds or so when you realised something was terribly wrong?
Well, I think, you know, very unfortunately, it was that experience that let me know instinctively what was happening. You know, and you kind of, as I said, you hear one and you don't think much of it, but when it was timed out, that second shot and then a third. And it's a real panic, of course, that comes over you and a real fear. You know, I said to my friend afterwards, and not this at the time, but we're running and we're trying to keep moving. But you have this terrible sense of, are you running into danger as well? You can hear shots in one place, but are you running into something else? There was no sense of where exactly this was coming from. Of course, in an area like Bondi, things echo. So I think absolutely that experience from Europe, but particularly at that time where there was really heightened terror threats, I guess, informed the way I was feeling. It doesn't get better or easier, I can tell you that. It is still terrifying. But as I said, you know, sort of the second I heard that second and third shot, I really had a terrible feeling of what was happening. And you know, I think Damo was right. I think a lot of people didn't have that sense, but there was still widespread panic and fear and a lot of people screaming and yelling and not knowing what to do. But I will just say as well, you know, we have seen this, you know, the emergency response and people getting there very quickly. And I know that in this neighbourhood right now, people are reaching out to each other and trying to help. We spent 90 minutes with my neighbours downstairs, who I don't know very well, but they were very happy to let us in and look after us. And I know that's happening all over this suburb right now.
It is a tight community, there's no doubt about it, Amelia, and, you know, can I just say I'm just so sorry that you have been in the thick of it and have witnessed this. I can only imagine it was absolutely terrifying and surreal. There's an image, I don't know if you've seen it, but there is an image of a local, well, a good Samaritan, a hero, if you like, actually taking on one of the gunmen and wrestling the gun from him. This is the vision now. It is just extraordinary, wrestling the gun from him and holding it up in a way to ensure that he backed off and kept him at bay, prevented him from firing at others. We have an update that one of the shooters has been killed in this incident and a second is in a critical condition. We don't know whether that particular gunman who had the gun taken from him was the man who was eventually killed. This vision then goes to the footbridge where we see the second shooter just still firing randomly at people as they were fleeing in a state of absolute terror.
And Georgie, we're just getting news into the newsroom that the home of one of the shooters in Bonnyrigg is currently being raided by New South Wales Police. That is, the home of one of the shooters in Bonnyrigg is currently being raided. We believe that soon we will be able to bring you pictures of this unfolding. The moment that they come into the newsroom, we'll bring them to our viewers.
We can also, Ali, show our viewers of a still photograph of one of the gunmen. He's pictured standing on the overpass bridge over that car park at the northern end of Bondi Beach. It's too early to ascertain as to whether that is the gunman who in fact has been killed by police or whether he is the one who we understand now is in a critical condition in hospital. If you're just joining us, we are devastated to tell you the news that there has been a mass shooting this evening at Bondi Beach, Sydney. 10 people are confirmed dead, including one of the shooters. Many more injured. It has been a scene of absolute chaos and pandemonium with ambulance, police crews ferrying the injured to various hospitals in Sydney. As you can understand, the nature of these injuries from gunshot is something that hospitals don't see on a daily basis, and certainly in these sort of numbers. It is just vision that we are still grappling to understand, Ali.
And 10 dead, Georgie, perhaps more to come. 10 dead, though, would make it the worst shooting since Port Arthur, since before the enormous ban on semi-automatic weapons and before our enormous gun ban. It is difficult to wrap our heads around. A witness has described the scene on Bondi Beach as an absolute massacre. Damien Ryan spoke with a Jewish man who survived the October 7 massacre, only for him to be injured in the chaos of today's shooting. And a warning, some viewers may find this interview confronting.
So we're just looking at the Jewish leaders over here hugging each other. I mean, what else can you do?
Not a lot you can do right now. Right now, we've everyone's got to help, everyone's got to hug, everyone's got to embrace. This is it was a bloodbath. It was an absolute massacre.
Tell me what happened.
I was here with my family. It was a Hanukkah celebration. There were hundreds of people. There were children. There were elderly families enjoying themselves. Children, kids, at a festival, playing, and then all of a sudden it's absolute chaos. There's guns, fire everywhere, people ducking. It was absolute chaos. We didn't know what was happening, where the gunfire was coming from. I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family? I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. You know, we've lived through worse. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get the bastards that did this.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun firing randomly in all directions. I saw children falling to the floor. So elderly. I saw invalids. I saw people just. It was an absolute bloodbath. Blood gushing everywhere. You know, October 7th. That's the last time I saw this. I never thought I would see this in Australia, not in my lifetime.
On Bondi Beach?
On Bondi Beach, of all places, this iconic place.
Your children, your wife?
My children, my wife is safe, thank God. They're okay. They managed to get away, but I didn't know. I didn't know where they were, and there's nothing. There's no greater fear, no greater horror not knowing where your family is. They're okay. I'll be okay.
You're a legend. Thank you. And you don't know how you got shot or hurt?
I know. I got hit in the head. I'm bleeding.
You lost a lot of blood.
I've lost blood. There are people around me that are far worse. I'll be okay. We'll be okay as a community, and we will defeat these ravages' hatred.
Unbelievable scenes, and this gentleman, this particular gentleman, one of just so many who, he describes it as a bloodbath.
Yeah, and we talked about fight and flight. And what do you do? In the minutes after this attack, he says we're going to get the bastards, like to have that resolve, to have that strength and to find the courage in that moment to try and protect people. That was an extraordinary interview by Damien Ryan, who has done an incredible job getting down there on the scene as quickly as he possibly could to help us get a better understanding of what is going on. And obviously things are still rapidly unfolding, Georgie. We're still trying to get a picture of what exactly is going on. Plenty of people tuning in from the eastern suburbs are anxious, nervous, hunkered down. It is important that you don't go down to Bondi Beach at the moment. Stay away from that area. Some enormous investigations, as you can imagine, are still underway. There is, of course, a potential pipe bomb situation in cars that police are investigating at the moment. I do think we have some pictures showing a pipe bomb that was in a car found at the scene. We'll try and get you those pictures shortly. But look, this is a moving situation. I'm having friends text me at the moment who are in the eastern suburbs in Queen's Park saying that there is a heavy police presence in that area, that there is a heavy police presence around Mariah College. Not that there is any indication that there is anything untoward there, but the city is on edge, particularly the Jewish community, given that what has unfolded this afternoon. We do not know, as we go to air, that this was a targeted attack, but there are many question marks, and hopefully Georgie will soon have some answers.
We are going to hear from police. Police are going to hold a press conference in about 20 minutes from now. We will hopefully get some more facts when we hear from them then. In the meantime, we are going to cross to reporter Pippa Bradshaw, who joins us at St Vincent's Hospital at Darlinghurst, not too far from Bondi Beach. Pippa, as we know, 10 people have been killed in this mass shooting. 12 others are injured, potentially far more, and some are being treated where you are. What do you know?
Yeah, that's right, Georgie. The latest confirmation we have is that 6 patients have been brought here to St Vincent's, but we have seen multiple ambulances come in here this evening over the last 2 hours, and most of them have had a police escort, some even 2 police cars. We saw in some instances that police officers were driving those ambulances while the paramedics were working on people in the back as they rushed them inside. We've also seen multiple cars pull up with medical staff jumping out and running inside. This is what they are trained for, but even this would be a shock to them this evening. We've also seen a number of people arrive and rush inside who obviously have loved ones inside they're worried about. I saw one man who had a ripped shirt and blood on his back, and another that was clearly inconsolable heading into the hospital here tonight. We've recently seen a number of police officers, even an entire van full of police, head inside, as well as detectives. There was also one woman about 45 minutes ago who came along with some flowers and placed them outside St Vincent's here. I asked her why she felt compelled to do that tonight. She just said it broke her heart seeing this news break online and on the news here with us tonight, and she just wanted to come down and do this little bit. She felt hopeless, and she thought this was a little bit that she could tell people she was thinking of them.
In times like this, what are you meant to do? Give blood, put flowers. I remember in Bondi, I live across the road when the stabbing happened. Same thing. It's the only solace you can get. It's just like, I hate this place, and I don't mean Australia. Australia is the best country in the world. What is going on?
As you can hear from her, she was quite emotional as she came down here this evening. She just walks nearby. She said she's actually going in for an operation herself tomorrow and just felt compelled to come down here. We are waiting to see an update from police. We do know that they will speak at around 9:30 this evening. 10 people so far confirmed dead, one of those the shooter, and everyone is just hoping that all those injured rushed here and to other hospitals right across Sydney this evening will pull through.
Pippa Bradshaw at St Vincent's, thank you for that. And as you say, all hospitals are being called on this evening. We're going to go now to Annalise Bolt, who in fact is outside the emergency department of Royal Prince Alfred at Camperdown in Sydney's inner west. And Annalise, where you are, you've seen families of many of the victims arriving there.
Yeah, Georgie, heartbreaking scenes this evening at the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. This is one of Sydney's major trauma hospitals, and we have seen quite a few families who arrive. They've been absolutely shell-shocked, facing the horrible reality that their loved ones have been caught up in this attack. The numbers are constantly changing. We don't know exactly how many patients have been brought here, but we have seen at least 5 ambulances arrive here under lights and sirens. Many have had a police escort. We've also seen one person, just a normal family, driving their car, rushing into the car park so their loved one can urgently get medical treatment. That rush of activity has actually quietened down just in the last half an hour, because we have heard that the emergency department here is now full and it is not accepting any patients. But staff here have set up a triage at the doors so that they can get patients the care that they urgently need. I do have an update on which patients have been taken to various hospitals around Sydney. We know that many have been taken to St Vincent's. The second is Royal Prince Alfred Hospital. Others have been taken to St George, Royal North Shore, Westmead, Sydney Children's Hospital and the Prince of Wales Hospital. So really, hospitals right across Sydney are accepting patients now. We know that many people are injured. The numbers are constantly changing, and that awful confirmation that 10 people have died. But it is quite chaotic scenes right across the city right now, Georgie.
Annalise Bolt at RPA, thank you very much for the update. And given that all Sydney's hospitals are right now taking patients from the scene at Bondi, indicates that we have a vast number of casualties, a vast number of people who have been caught up and injured in this incident. Masilia Ali has been at Bondi Beach since this all unfolded early this evening, and she in fact has spoken to the man who was one of the first to film video of the shooting. Here's a little bit of what he has had to say.
Me, I am very shocked. I am in Australia since just 2 days, and it's my first time in the beach. I go in the beach and I look 2 men, gun, me, I don't scared because I am crazy. Donc I go look. I look before one car. I'm cashed. I look, one man issue, fight, everything. It's amazing. It's the first time I look this in my life. Sorry, but no, my wife.
How scared were you?
Sorry?
How scared were you?
I scared. I look sniper. There is 2 sniper, 2 men sniper in the pond wide, and he shoot. No, shotgun. Me, I look. I am shocked and I go run. One mother. There is one.
Pregnant.
Yes, pregnant. Sleep in the slow. No gun, just in head. I look one mother. Me, I will left the mother. I say go. I pay for you 1 bottle water. It's no one problem. Go. No scared. I say this. I bought this. I go in the McDonald's. I pay 1 bottle. My girl is dead today.
Did you ever think you'd see something like this in Sydney?
In Sydney? What? Sorry?
Did you ever think you would see something like this in Sydney?
Yes, il y a la courage.
Are you surprised that this is
yes, I am surprised. It's in Australia. For me, I go in Australia. I play football in Western Sydney FC. Look, in League 1. I play football. 2 days. The first time I want to go to beach and I look this. I am shocked.
Is this going to make you not want to come back to the beach over summer? Are you sick of it?
No, I'm come back. It's not one problem, but there is security in the Bondi Beach. It's not possible. 2 men, he say 2 sniper and bim 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 every. No, there is just one circle of security, you know. And me, no problem. I'm come back in Australia, in Bondi Beach, in Koji Beach, Jervis Bay, every the beach.
Yeah, just one of so many tourists who have witnessed this mass shooting this afternoon at Sydney's iconic Bondi Beach. I mean, possibly, arguably, the world's most famous beach is Bondi. We're going to cross back now to our reporter Damien Ryan, who was at the scene of the shooting within about 15, 20 minutes of it all unfolding. And Damo, you mentioned earlier, fortuitously, Bondi Police Station is positioned very, very close to the beach, very, very close to where this all unfolded. And I understand the response from emergency services was extremely swift.
Yeah, it was pretty swift, but you know, the wish is, I wish they got there quicker. No doubt it was, we've been told now, we've confirmed that these 2 gunmen were firing for 9 minutes and into the Hanukkah festival. There's a playground next door and they were shooting there for 9 minutes. It took police about 4 minutes to actually rally and get there. There was police there within maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but they needed backup. But I'm also being told by a witness that one of the first victims of this tragedy was a gentleman who charged at the gunman on the bridge. And he challenged the gunman, and the gunman turned and shot him dead. And that's basically how it all began. And then they opened fire on the many people that were in the festival. So there was a gentleman who challenged this officer, who challenged this man, the 2 gunmen, and then but he was shot dead. I know that the police who were on the ground, who ended this terrible situation, they fired their guns from a playground about 30 metres from where the gunmen were. So they did extremely well to combat the situation and bring it to an end. There was 2 or 3 police officers. There was a policeman who was deeply distressed, obviously, after what had happened. But we do know that that was the situation. And I've also been told by a police officer the weapon was not a semi-automatic rifle. It was, they believe, a Remington 870, which is obviously lethal and can fire quickly, but it wasn't a semi-automatic rifle. So it's a licensed firearm. People are allowed to have that sort of firearm if you've got a license. But that will now obviously be a major part of this investigation. Where did it come from? Where did they get it from? And what was this all about?
Damo, it's Ali. One thing you said earlier in one of your earlier crosses really struck me. You mentioned that you believe that children may have been injured, potentially even killed in this attack. I mean, you just mentioned there that shots were fired from a playground. Can you give us any sort of clarity, any sort of understanding? Do you believe that kids could be affected in this?
Oh, definitely. I can definitely tell you there was one child that was being cared for by paramedics, and there was blood on her face, and she was being looked after by paramedics. So there is no doubt, because there were so many children in the group, that there will be no doubt that children have perished in this tragedy. There was up to 300 people. The number's being tossed around a bit, but and then I saw that child being treated by paramedics. And then I saw a number of elderly people, a number of middle-aged people, as I said, being worked on and being looked after and being treated. And I saw many people just walking around with bandages who'd survived the attack. But yeah, no doubt, there is no doubt there were children there. And there were children playing in that playground as well who were not a part of the festival. So who knows whether they got caught up in it, but that's where the police officers who brought an end to this tragedy, that's where they fired their guns from, looking up at the gunmen who were looking down and shooting anyone and anyone they could, basically.
This is just still so incredibly difficult to compute, to fathom that this has all unfolded at Sydney's Bondi Beach late this afternoon with families, tourists, just so many people enjoying a summer evening, and for this to have all unfolded. Let's just take a moment to recap on what we know so far. As Damo said, this is still an unfolding situation. It's still a critical situation down there at the beach. But what we can tell you at this point is that this afternoon's events are now being referred to as a massacre. 10 people are confirmed dead after 2 gunmen opened fire on Bondi Beach. It all unfolded at about 6:40 this evening. At least 12 other people are in hospital. We imagine that that number, in fact, is far greater, given that 4 hospitals are dealing with people with gunshot injuries. We know one of the gunmen is among those killed. The second is one of those being treated in hospital. We understand his condition is critical. We can tell you that 2 police officers are among the victims. However, it is not clear as to what condition they are in. We can also tell you that police have reportedly found a bomb, a pipe bomb, in a vehicle at the scene. There was suggestion also of potentially a bomb planted on that footbridge, the footbridge where we have seen a gunman shooting from. A short time ago, we got word in that police had also begun raiding one of the shooters' homes, and we can tell you that that home is in Bonnyrigg in Sydney's western suburbs. This is an unfolding situation.
Your house.
Sorry, Damo.
You got that?
Okay.
And we are trying to get pictures from this raid that is unfolding at the moment in Bonnyrigg, Georgie. Our newsroom is chasing that. Hopefully we'll be able to get that to our viewers very, very soon. I've just been popping online, and this is making headline news around the world, unfortunately, Georgie. CNN, New York Times, NBC.
Yeah, and we will, of course, hear from police. Police are set to hold a press conference in about 4 minutes, hopefully, from now, where we hopefully can obtain more facts, more information. In the meantime, I want to cross to Kate Creedon, who's standing by at the marshalling area of Bondi. Kate, from where you are, what can you tell us?
Well, Georgie, it's still very much, as you said, an active crime scene here at the moment. If you can take a look down Campbell Parade, it literally looks like a car park with those red and blue lights. Police cars lining all of Campbell Parade. We've seen the heavily armed tactical police here on the scene go through, and of course there is 2 of the police helicopters still circling in the sky as we go to air tonight. Now, I've been speaking with a number of people here at the scene who witnessed what happened or were close by and dining at the time. Many of them have told me that they heard these shots ringing out and feared for their lives. People have told me that they hid in the toilets of restaurants, all crammed in together, waiting for that gunfire to stop. I've also spoken with another gentleman who told me that he is still waiting to hear from friends and family that he knew were down on the beach and waiting for any sort of word that they are doing okay. That really is the concern for people that are coming down here at the moment. They're worried. They're hoping to hear anything from their loved ones, and certainly, you know, what we've heard so far is just how many people were on the beach at the time, and really the confusion and chaos that happened in the moments after this started. Now, I was travelling here myself. We had heard earlier that there may have been additional scenes, and even travelling into Bondi this afternoon or this evening as we heard that news. It was just ambulance after ambulance with a police escort coming down along Old South Head Road, along Military Road. Actually, there was the private police for the Jewish community blocking Military Road, obviously as news spread and concerns spread. And certainly the Jewish community, of course, here in Bondi, it's a strong, tight-knit community. They're really suffering tonight. This is heartbreaking. This is absolutely devastating. And many of the people that I've been speaking to are telling me that they are angry as well, that this is a place that they thought was safe. They've come to Bondi Beach to celebrate Hanukkah. They were in the playground, many of them, and to be targeted in this way, they're angry and, you know, people, I guess, in disbelief that this could happen here. Of course, a number of those people, as I said, are still waiting for news, and people coming down here. You know, the crowd when we arrived, a lot of people were on the beach at the time, and certainly feeling very, very concerned. And they're the people that are coming down here tonight. They're speaking to us. They're telling us what they've been experiencing and what they're feeling, and that fear and worry for their loved ones, for those in the community here tonight. And of course, Bondi Beach on a Sunday afternoon, on a beautiful Sunday it was as well. It was absolutely packed with people. There's tourists that I've spoken to as well, people that now with Campbell Parade blocked off are waiting to get into their accommodation and wanting to sort of get a little bit of an update of when that may happen. At this stage, as I said, it is a car park on Campbell Parade. Police car after police car backed up there, multiple road closures in the area, and a lot of people sort of left stranded at the moment. But certainly, you know, it's really, really heartbreaking conversations that I've been having with many people here in the community this evening. They say it's, you know, one person in the community targeted, it feels like they're all targeted. And that's certainly the sentiment that people have been sharing with me this evening.
Yeah, as you say, a mixture of just shock, disbelief, but also anger starting to ripple through, with people piecing together more information and getting certainly a very strong feeling that this was a targeted attack. And this was an attack at the heart of families celebrating day one of Hanukkah. It feels like, you know, it's becoming increasingly evident that these gunmen turned up and they had an intention.
Absolutely,
and to reveal or to confirm that 10 people have been killed in this incident is just horrifying. We are standing by to hear from police. They were scheduled to begin a press conference about now. We understand that's been pushed back by about 10 minutes, but obviously we will bring that to you as soon as we hear from police. Masilia Ali has been down at Bondi Beach since not long after this all began, and she has spoken to a witness. Here's what he has had to say.
Through what you saw this afternoon.
I was actually I live about 50 metres away, so I was actually listening to the news and I heard bang, 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 and I actually have a farm and I shoot guns myself. I'm a licensed firearm holder myself, so instantly I knew it was guns. Like it was live fire. So I ran out to the street and was just like, everyone just go back the other way, and a few people, I had about 10 people running to my apartment, and it just continued, boom, 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 and yeah, we kind of bunkered back in as far away from the streets as we could, and then just kind of checked on the street. People, it was hard to work out what was going on. There were a lot of people casually walking, a lot of people running, so it was a bit of chaos. The sirens didn't kind of come for a minute, so yeah, but it was definitely, the adrenaline definitely kicked in a lot. Yeah.
So you said you had 10 people that you'd sheltered inside your house. Take us through that time and those moments.
I was actually, as I said, I was on the couch listening to the news and Channel 9 obviously, and I just heard, I knew instantly it was gunshots, and I ran straight out to the street. I had a neighbour walking by, and I said, get back into your apartment, and then there was about 10 people walking by at that moment, and I was like, come through here, so they ran through. They were, a mixture of Spanish people. It was a bunch of us back in the kitchen. We kind of locked the place down, and then kind of just got on the phones and tried to work out what was happening.
And what were those people that had run in telling you? Had they come from the beach? Had they seen what was happening down there?
They hadn't heard. We were all a little bit confused. They were kind of telling me fireworks, and I was kind of like second guessing myself about that, and I was like, no, it was definitely, gunfire. And then we actually had a guy sitting in a car outside the apartment just bawling his eyes out, and I was like, that guy saw something. And, there was a guy consoling him. So yeah, when I saw the guy crying and the guy consoling him in the car parked outside the apartment, I was like, no, 100% that was gunshots. So yeah, no, we're just praying for anyone that kind of got, has been impacted.
on your doorstep, one of the most famous beaches in the world. What's going through your mind? Did you think this could ever happen here?
The way the world is at the moment, you know, you'd never pick it. Like, you'd never think it would happen in Bondi. But, you know, the world we live in these days, you know, you can't rule anything out. But yeah, it's just like, no, just kind of, as soon as those gunshots went off, you kind of went into like a bit of a dream. It wasn't happening, you know. Adrenaline kicks in, but it's kind of like you're still telling yourself this isn't happening. But yeah, no, whoever, I've just seen footage on Channel 9 of that guy tackling one of the shooters, and mate, that guy, he deserves a bravery medal. That's absolutely incredible. Insane, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the whole street, it was organised. It was chaos, but it's something you see in Europe, and it's something you see in, I mean, it was a 35-degree day at Bondi Beach. You know, you just don't see it. It's insane.
Yeah, a strong southerly wind has blown in now and making for quite trying conditions with our reporters down there at Bondi Beach. We're going to go now to our reporter, James Wilson, who is at Royal North Shore Hospital at St Leonard's. James, what can you tell us in terms of what you've seen with casualties being rushed there to the North Shore of Sydney?
Well, Georgie, ambulances still very much going back and forward from here. Even as we go to air right now, in the last 10 minutes, 2 ambulances arriving. I have some fresh numbers into the newsroom. 25 patients confirmed, and I'll read out the breakdown as to where they've gone. We have 7 who have gone to St Vincent's, 4 have gone to St George, we've got 3 have gone to RPA, 2 to the Sydney Children's Hospital, 2 to the Royal North Shore, 1 to Westmead, 2 to Liverpool, 2 to the Prince of Wales, 1 to Sutherland and 1 to Liverpool. So you can just imagine this is hospitals from all over Sydney now pitching in to help up 25 patients. You'd have to imagine that all of them suffering from gunshot wounds, and of course, concerningly, 2 to the Children's Hospital as well. And as I mentioned, still as we go to air right now, people being triaged and treated, ambulances and ambulance inspectors, as well as police escorts arriving where we are at Royal North Shore. And those hospitals, we're talking about at least 10 hospitals, if not more, carrying the brunt, the weight of what's happened down at Bondi as far out as Liverpool. So that number again, Georgie and Ali, 25 patients, 2 of those at the Sydney Children's Hospital, 7 St Vincent's, 4 St George, 3 at RPA, and then 2 where I am right now at the Royal North Shore, as well as others in Westmead and Liverpool and hospitals surrounding Sydney. A massive operation happening right now, and I have been speaking to both ambulance media and Health New South Wales, who are trying to coordinate their resources. Certainly a fluid information trying to be passed on between them. Multiple briefings happening behind the scene right now. Some of the biggest executives in all of these organisations right now rushing into work and figuring out exactly what's going on. But those numbers again, 25 patients, including 2 at the Sydney Children's Hospital.
Yeah, they are numbers that are very, very hard to hear. James Wilson at Royal North Shore Hospital, thank you so much. We're standing by, hoping to hear from the New South Wales Premier shortly. Police also are due to give a press conference as soon as they have more information to disseminate. And Damien Ryan still on the scene there for us at Bondi.
The thought of 25 patients, to think it is all hands on deck in 10 hospitals right across Sydney right now. And we've heard some remarkable stories this evening. We've talked about some remarkable heroes already tonight, but we are hearing stories of police officers who are actually driving the ambulances in and out of St Vincent's so that paramedics could still work on some of these patients who were coming from Bondi Beach. Everyone is stepping up and doing what they can, but 25 people, 10 confirmed dead. Unfortunately, 25 people perhaps more seriously injured. Unfortunately, Georgie, it does appear that that number may rise. And a reminder for our audience that we don't have mass shootings. I don't think we need to remind people necessarily of that, but we haven't had a mass shooting since the 28th of April 1996, since the Port Arthur massacre, which really changed our history. It changed our gun laws in Australia. And I remember covering so many of these mass shootings in America and proudly telling Americans that this is something we don't have in Australia anymore because our government stepped in and intervened and we changed the rules, and that you don't need guns and gun violence isn't something we fear. So it is remarkable this evening to watch these pictures coming out of our most iconic beach and one of the most iconic beaches in the world, Georgie.
I can tell you, Ali, I was a young Green reporter who went down and covered Port Arthur, and as we know, we all hoped and prayed that we would never see scenes like that ever again. So to watch these pictures and to wrap our head around what has unfolded this afternoon, this evening at our beautiful Bondi Beach is harrowing, to say the least. Damien Ryan was there at the scene a short time after this all unfolded. And Damo, we heard from Kate Creedon earlier. She said that the panic has abated somewhat, but there is now a sense of still absolute shock, disbelief, and also some anger creeping in.
Oh, you're going to see that. That will you'll see that develop very quickly once they establish who may have been responsible for this. The police have clearly moved very, very quickly, raiding a house in Bonnyrigg. Obviously, they have the identity of one suspect, maybe the second. You know, who was behind it. It's all hands on deck. It's down here at this situation. It's still, the area is sealed off, as we have not sure if they've been given the all clear about a suspected potential pipe bomb left behind. That's being examined. But as you can imagine, the investigation itself will be very thorough, and they will absolutely get to the bottom of it. But in the meantime, for the many people who've been caught up in this, you know, it's gonna hurt very, very hard. It's quite incredible. There are so many people, obviously down here on Bondi on a beautiful Sunday. There are so many witnesses. People come up to you and say, I saw this, I heard that. And really, they're all in shock, as you mentioned before, and they'll be scarred for a long time because, as I said, there were so many people at the time of the evening finishing their swimming, having a walk, an evening stroll along the beach, and then you hear this rapid gunfire. So quite extraordinary. And but police obviously making progress at the moment, but then for the Jewish community and for others, there may have been other people not attending this festival who may have been caught up in it, because we do know that these guys were shooting from the drawbridge, from a bridge into a crowd, and there were swings nearby, and again that's where I said that the police came, fired their guns from the playground up to the bridge where these two guys were shooting away, and brought an end to it.
Damo, police are also now appealing for anyone who was in Bondi Beach, in the Bondi Beach area this evening with mobile phone or dashcam vision relevant to this incident to upload its specific links. We will get those links up on our social media pages so people can send in anything they may have. Yeah. I mean, it will be the dashcam vision and the mobile phone vision that will become so important in any police investigation, right?
Well, that's the way you begin your investigation. You go door knocking. Firstly, you speak to people who may have witnessed it. Then you go door knocking, trying to get any vision you can. But this went on for 9 minutes. So there was plenty of time for people to run and film. And, you know, a lot of vision has already emerged of these people, you know, dreadfully in action. And then when it was brought to an end, yeah, there was, as I said, 9 minutes. So you can imagine the number of people living on the boulevard here, looking down, you know, from their homes. They would have seen it, and I've spoken to a number of those people who did film it because they didn't really know what was going on, so they filmed it, and you know, so this massacre, as you rightfully put it, no doubt has been very well documented by so many people who've been caught up in it.
Stories of bravery too, right, Georgie? We're watching this vision, Damo. We've been watching the vision as you've been speaking of the bystander who jumped right in, picked up the gun and aimed it right at the shooter.
Well, he wrestled the gun from the shooter,
Just
which was
extraordinary.
just an extraordinary act of bravery. Sorry to interrupt you, Ali.
Not at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, to wrestle the gun from him and to hold it up as a means of warning him to back off. And we see another bystander who joins the scene and actually throws a missile at him as a way of saying, you know, back off.
These are heroes.
Absolute heroes, and there are going to be plenty more of those. Damo, for people not familiar with the layout of Bondi Beach, we're looking at vision now of the footbridge where this gunman was just firing indiscriminately. Give people a little bit more of an understanding. That footbridge sort of connects Campbell Parade to Bondi Pavilion, doesn't it? And it's an area that is absolutely, you know, daily teeming with people, either beachgoers or people enjoying the cafes and restaurants. I mean, it's an area that is always frequented by many, many, many people.
Well, it's basically one of the main accesses to the beach. You cross Campbell Parade at the crossing, and then you've got to get there, and you can either walk to the northern end and go that way through where the surf club is, or you can go over the bridge and you're on the beach. Well, you're on the grass area, and then you're on the beach into the car park. But yeah, look, it's, you know, it's been there since day dot, and you know, people use it every day going to the beach. Today it become a platform for two crazy people with guns. But yeah, like everyone knows that walkway, and so everyone knows this beach. I mean, you tell me someone who's not been to Bondi Beach living in Sydney.
Damo, we're just hearing that the police presser has been pushed back another 15 minutes or so. We're now looking at it being at around 10 p.m. We do not know, as we're on air right now, we do not know the reason behind this attack. Hopefully the press conference will provide some clarity as to the motivation behind these shooters. But obviously, as we have reported, there was a Jewish event underway as it unfolded at Bondi Beach this afternoon. We don't know if it was a targeted attack, but there is certainly a suggestion that it could have been. And we have seen just a spate of anti-Semitic attacks across Sydney ever since the October 7 attacks. It is something that the Jewish community have had to grapple with. And I know that you've reported on many of the incidents of anti-Semitic attacks across the city. Does this make you nervous, potentially, what we might be looking at here?
I think that you could, look, you know, we shouldn't speculate, but you can join the dots. It was well known that what was going on there today was an organised event by the Jewish community for this Hanukkah for young families and families. So there's no question, well, I don't think there is, but you've got two gunmen perched up on a bridge firing into this group of people. I don't think you need to be a rocket scientist to work out that, you know, it's probably an anti-Semitic massacre. And so, but that's what for the police to decide. You know, well, and they've got one man that they can talk to. There's another is dead, so they'll get to the bottom of it. But you really have to think that the Jewish community were again targeted here, like they have been for quite some time, since October 7, and beyond, really. But yeah, it's, you know, I did attend many of those those attacks on the Jewish community over the last 2 years, and things had maybe, I'm not aware of it, but things had died down a little. You know, we hadn't heard much about, you know, any graffiti attacks on synagogues or those sorts of buildings, but this is Ali and Georgie, this is absolutely next level.
The other thing that strikes me, Damo, I should mention we're standing by to hear from the Premier, and I believe the Prime Minister. Police also will be holding a press conference shortly. Looking at this vision, I'm still incredulous to see how brazen it is, to think that this guy was wielding this you know, very large weapon. It's not quite broad daylight, but still obviously light, people everywhere, and to see him so brazenly on that footbridge firing, it's just still extraordinary to see.
Well, there was a gentleman, there was a couple that I was talking to who watched it from start to finish. And how do you think they're feeling at the moment? Firstly, they were in a building looking down and watching, so there was really nothing that they could do. They knew that the police had been alerted, and they were just watching what was going on. And it's extraordinary to think that, you know, look, they were able to shoot for 9 minutes at least, and cause the carnage that they did. Police really didn't know when they first arrived who's doing this, who's responsible, where do we go, what do we do, who's shooting, and who do we target ourselves. And so they would have scrambled very quickly to do what they did. But yeah, 9 minutes is a very long time for two crazed men just to shoot randomly at a group of people. And so that's why obviously the casualties out of this tragedy are horrific.
And we can confirm for those just tuning in that 10 people are confirmed dead. We know that there have been at least 25 patients who are currently being treated at numerous hospitals across Sydney. I think it's worth mentioning that so many people are going to be so terribly, deeply affected by this. Obviously, hundreds and hundreds of witnesses. Damo's spoken to many of them. Nasilia Eiley, our reporter, also at the scene, has spoken to plenty of witnesses, all with horrific stories of what they've seen. Here's just one of those who she's spoken to.
I can see you're shaking. What did you see?
Well, to put everything into kind of short terms, I arrived on Tuesday. I'm staying on Campbell Parade, and obviously where my apartment block is, the windows are right over what happened. So I was actually on the sofa in my apartment, just on the FaceTime with the family from back home. At the time, I just heard what sounded like almost fireworks. So I sort of went to the window to see what was going on, and I just saw a guy all dressed in black. There was two of them. One was a bit further on the right-hand side, and then one was on top, like next to a car. And one shot off shots. One went to the right, hit a lady, one older woman, and one hit a man on the left-hand side. And I saw a bunch of groups of people running towards me, so I was still trying to process and understand what was going on. So at the time, my parents were just screaming on the phone because they could just hear the gunshots, just screaming to get safe or find shelter or find cover. So I just went to my front door, put the lock on, and then ran into my bedroom, put the blinds down, just took cover and went into my wardrobe for a little bit because the window was open, and I was just trying to hear what was being said because there were people saying stuff on the tannoy. So I didn't know if that was people that were doing the shooting or if that was police. So I was just trying to hear as much as I possibly could to try and get more information. But I just can't believe what's going on. Kids getting shot. Just hearing about kids getting shot but witnessing people dying, and also just hearing about kids and families. Such a just crazy situation. I just hope everyone else is okay. And it's just.
As you're hiding in your wardrobe, Finn, what's going through your mind in that moment? Are you scared for your life?
Yeah, truthfully, I was. I was just trying to stay on FaceTime with my mum because at the time she was the best person who was reassuring me. But at the time, all I could hear was gunshots for about a good 10-15 minutes, and they kept going. I don't know if it was the police after a bit, but I just heard guns, so I kept trying to go out my wardrobe and go outside into my living room to try and just have a look. But every time I did that, it seemed to be another thing going on. So it was just a case of just trying to just find out and hear on the tannoy what was going on. But yeah, it's been a crazy hour and a half.
Did you think this was ever going to happen on your summer holiday to Sydney? You've come from the UK, I imagine. Is this something you ever thought could happen in Sydney?
No, it's a beautiful. I mean, as I was saying, me and my friend who I come to visit, we went up to the icebergs earlier, and I was saying how beautiful it was and how pleased I am to be away, and I still am. But it's just a crazy situation to be a part of, and just hearing everything going on and hearing people getting hurt. It's just you never want to see it. I just hope everyone stays safe and yeah.
Yeah, just yet another terrifying account. So many of these people, young tourists, absolutely floored and devastated by what they've experienced this afternoon. Let's go again to our reporter Annalise Bolt, who joins us from outside the Emergency Department of Royal Prince Alfred at Camperdown. That is a hospital in Sydney's inner west. And Annalise, do you know how many people are being treated there where you are?
Yeah, Georgie, there's 3 patients inside Royal Prince Alfred Hospital here that have been rushed here after those awful events this afternoon. I have spoken to a number of family members who have also rushed down here to the hospital with that horrible news that their loved ones have been caught up in this. As you can imagine, it's quite traumatic scenes down here. The numbers are constantly changing, but the latest that we have from New South Wales Ambulance is that 25 people have been transported to hospitals right around Sydney. As you can imagine, many, if not all of them, injured with gunshot wounds. These are the latest on the numbers for hospitals. 7 were taken to St Vincent's, 4 to St George Hospital, 3 here to RPA, 2 to Sydney Children's Hospital, which is, of course, incredibly concerning. 2 also to the Royal North Shore Hospital, 1 to Westmead, 2 to Liverpool, 2 to Prince of Wales, 1 to Sutherland and 1 to Liverpool. But as I said, these numbers are changing quite rapidly. We know that 10 people, including one of the shooters, are confirmed dead in the events this evening, and many, many more were injured. New South Wales Ambulance have also confirmed that they are still at the scene. They are there in case anyone needs treatment. The scene here at the hospital, it was incredibly chaotic just a few hours ago. There were ambulances arriving one after the other under lights and sirens, many of them with police escorts. We also saw quite a few members of the public that were running into the hospital, walking quickly, quite stressed and concerned for their loved ones. We also saw someone, a family that just drove into the car park in their car. They were shielding their loved one. A hospital crews came out and met them with a wheelchair and wheeled them inside. This is one of Sydney's major trauma hospitals, but as we can see tonight, hospitals right across Sydney are carrying the load to try to treat these injured people, and we are expecting the numbers of people injured in this to rise further, Georgie.
All right, Annalise Bolt, we appreciate the update from RPA Hospital. Reporter Kate Creedon's at Bondi Beach for us as well. And Kate, 3.5 hours have now passed since this shooting broke out. If you could, I know before you talked about the panic abating, but there being a sense still of absolute shock and disbelief and some anger. Just describe, if you could, the atmosphere where you are now, what you're encountering as you speak to people now.
I think people are just really confused, Georgie, really concerned and confused. And yeah, anger seems to be that prevailing emotion that people are feeling. I mean, this obviously an attack we suspect. I mean, as Damien said, we're joining the dots on a Jewish Hanukkah community event that was being held here. But this is Bondi Beach. This is Bondi Beach. It doesn't just belong to the Jewish community. It belongs to all of Australia. It's an iconic part of our country. And you know, 7 o'clock at night, it was still light. It's been a hot day. There were a lot of families down on the beach, and many of those families who I've spoken to today have expressed how shocked and how scared they were. There were little children around, and really, you know, now it's getting a bit later. It's really clearing out. A lot of those families, you know, the streets of Bondi, obviously full of police cars. Normally on a Sunday, warm Sunday night, there would be packed with families, packed with people that have gone out for dinner, people going out for this evening, but really it's just police, heavily armed police. Now, just in the last few minutes, we have also seen a lot of police activity down to the bridge down here along Campbell Parade. We've seen the police rescue some heavily armed police there, and what we believe to be perhaps the bomb squad also there with some equipment that they've brought in here to the scene as they try and work through the scene at the moment. So a lot of police activity happening down there at the moment along Campbell Parade, more than we've seen. A lot of detectives. We've certainly seen the dog squad here earlier, going from car to car, having a look at those vehicles that are still there along Campbell Parade, but certainly what seems to be a lot of attention at the moment being paid down towards the footbridge over there on Campbell Parade, where you can see the police rescue and we believe bomb squad officers there at the moment, focusing their attention on that area as we come to air. Yeah, as I said, it's certainly cleared out here a little bit more along the beach. That cool southerly is really whipped up, but I think that's sent a lot of people home for the evening, Georgie.
But can I just confirm with you, Kate, are you suggesting police are still going through vehicles there, presumably with concern that there could still be active devices? I mean, we talked about a pipe bomb being planted in the back of a car. That's the vision we're looking at there. Is there a suggestion that that there are more vehicles that are being investigated?
We've certainly seen the officers. I saw the police. We saw the police detection, explosive detection dogs here earlier. We've seen police walking through much of the car park that is in the middle of Campbell Parade. There is that, obviously Campbell Parade hugs along the beach, and then there is a strip of almost like a car park in the middle of the strip of the road there, where a number of cars are parked and are still parked there at the moment. We've seen police moving through that area for much of this evening, but most of their attention now focused down towards that footbridge, and that we've seen some devices that have been brought in on the back of a trailer there, and they seem to be focusing their attention around there. Obviously, we can't get close enough to get a good look at what's happening, but certainly a lot of detectives, a lot of those police rescue officers and the bomb squad officers that we're also seeing down there at the moment. But we haven't heard anything further about what perhaps they have found. I've checked in with police just in the last few minutes, and they haven't had anything further to add to that at this stage. But certainly a lot of police activity still happening here. Police cars coming in and out Kate, as we go to air.
With that in mind, how important is it for people to stay away from Bondi Beach, from Campbell Parade? I know lots of eastern suburbs viewers will be watching, perhaps desperately concerned that they may have known someone down there, maybe wanting to get down there, or in these cases, people want to come along and have a sticky bag. How important is it for people to stay away, and what is, I guess, the situation for the community around there at the moment?
Yeah, Ali, that is the advice at the moment, obviously, where we are at the moment.
Kate, we're going to interject. Excuse me, Kate. We're going to interject because we're going to hear now from our Premier, Chris Minns.
Approximately 6:47 this evening, two individuals began firing on a crowded group of families on Bondi Beach at Archer Park. This cowardly act of terrifying violence is shocking and painful to see, and represents some of our worst fears about terrorism in Sydney. I very sadly need to report that as of now, there are at least 12 individuals that have been killed. One of the offenders has also been killed, and one is in custody. This attack was designed to target Sydney's Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah. What should have been a night of peace and joy celebrated in that community with families and supporters has been shattered by this horrifying, evil attack. Commissioner Lanyon will speak about the investigation, the police response, as well as the designation of this attack as a terrorism event in Sydney. I can assure the community it will be met with a massive, comprehensive police and public order response. Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight. I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's a responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period. This is a massive, complex, and just beginning investigation. It's just begun, and there are things that tonight we don't have the answers to. However, we do have answers to some crucial pieces of information for our wonderful city and our beautiful state. The first one is the outpouring of love and support from ordinary Australians for Australia's Jewish community is real. Secondly, Today is another example of the enormous pressure and responsibility, the danger that New South Wales Police regularly face as part of their job. They do it without faltering. They didn't falter today. We need them. And thirdly, tonight saw extraordinary acts of personal courage and bravery from individuals in our community. And I think it's worth remembering that in all of this evil, in all of this sadness, there are still wonderful, brave Australians that are prepared to risk their lives to help a complete stranger. Mel?
Thank you, Premier. Good evening. Premier has outlined the brief circumstances this evening. I'll go through them again. They're more than happy to take some questions. About 6:47 p.m. this evening, police started to receive a number of reports of shots fired at Archer Park at Bondi. Archer Park is a grassed area just north of the Bondi Pavilion. Police responded promptly. Unfortunately, at least 12 people are deceased at this time. 29 people have been transported to various hospitals around the Sydney area, including 2 police officers. The condition of those officers and the other transported are serious, but there is a range of conditions. Our thoughts, prayers and love go to all the families and all of those that were involved tonight. We know that there were many people there to celebrate a happy occasion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and there was well over 1,000 people there when this took place. As a result of the circumstances of the incident tonight, at 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity. Section 6 allows us to investigate today's incident. There is a massive police response, and I think as journalists you have seen how quickly and promptly the police responded. I'm incredibly proud of the professionalism of our police and emergency service responders. They have done a fantastic job. Unfortunately, it's only several years ago that Bondi occurred, at Bondi Junction. We have learnt a lot from that, and tonight ambulance and police and other emergency responders acted promptly and professionally to do a great job there. We will have a significant investigation. Our Counter-Terrorism Command will lead this investigation with investigators from the State Crime Command. No stone will be left unturned. This type of disgraceful activity, this wanton use of violence, the taking of innocent lives is unacceptable to New South Wales. It's not our way of life. I've been very clear since I've been the Commissioner that as a police force, we won't stand for this type of violence. I'm personally offended. You have seen that the police have already taken prompt action. The Premier has mentioned one of the offenders is deceased, the second one is in serious condition at hospital. We will focus to ensure that there is no further threat to the public. Could I ask, but this is a time of calm. This is a time where I want to make sure that there is no retribution. The police are investigating thoroughly. We have acted promptly. We have taken decisive action. Could I just ask for calm in the community? Allow the police to do our job. We will work closely with community and I'll continue to provide updates about the investigation as they go on. Thank you. I'll hand over to the Minister and then happy to take questions. Sorry.
Do we have an age range of the victims? I've got 6 early days, but of those deceased?
No, very early. Sorry, I don't have those details at the moment. As you can imagine, there has been a fair dislocation. The ambulance service responded brilliantly. They've had to convey people right around the city to numerous hospitals, so at this stage we don't have those details.
Commissioner, there's 12 people...
Sorry, can I just ask one at a time, sorry?
Commissioner, do you have any intelligence about the 2 shooters?
We're working through that at the moment. Obviously, part of the declaration is because I have information about the deceased shooter. It's not something that I'm prepared to give at the moment. It will be part of the investigation, but we will work tirelessly through our Counter-Terrorism Command to make sure we investigate all of the circumstances.
Commissioner, the 12 people that are deceased, do they include the gunman that is deceased, or is the gunman additional to that 12?
We've set up the 12 deceased at the moment. This is a really fluid situation. I would like to provide more certainty, but certainly the numbers that we are talking at the moment include the gunman.
Were any children among the deceased?
At this stage, I don't believe so. However, I do believe that a child was transported to hospital. Again, I don't want to give information that turns out to be incorrect. It is very early. We know that there has been a number of people turn up to hospital. We've had 29 others transported, and we know people are still turning up there.
What gives you reason to think there might be a third gunman or gun person around?
Unfortunately, in these sort of circumstances, we get information from a range of areas. We tend to be as safe as we possibly can so that we know that we have 2 definite offenders, but we want to make sure the community is safe. So we will run down this investigation. The reason that we have so many investigators out tonight is we can make sure that that happens. The fact that we've declared this as a terrorist incident, we've provided special powers, is to make sure that we prevent any further. I cannot confirm there is a 3rd offender, but I want to make sure there's no stone left unturned.
Some news outlets are reporting a home in Bonnie is being raided. Can you confirm that?
No, I'm well aware on social media that an identity of a person believed to be one of the gunmen has been circulated there. When I ask for calm, that is really important. This is not a time for retribution. This is a time to allow the police to do their duty. So police are responding to make sure that all of the community is safe. That is our role.
What can you tell us about public order riots, squad officers raiding homes? Is that happening right now?
What I'd say to you is that we have police right around the city at the moment to make sure that all of the community is safe. I don't want to go into too much specific activity. Our job is to respond to intelligence we get, respond to information, but make sure the community is safe. So unashamedly, we do have a lot of public order and riot squad and other police out on the streets at the moment to make sure there is calm. This disgraceful act will not go unpunished. Sorry.
Given it was a Hanukkah event, first night of Hanukkah, were there any additional police resources around the Bondi area or Dover Heights in case there was any problems?
There certainly were police patrolling that area. We were well aware and we worked closely with the Jewish community in terms of Hanukkah. The Jewish community has its own security group that we work very closely with, so there were police present. The fact there was such prompt action taken demonstrates the police were present.
Is there still an active threat tonight?
Sorry?
Is there still an active threat?
No, what I've said before is that we are aware definitely of 2 offenders at the moment. One of those is deceased, one is in hospital at the moment. We want to investigate thoroughly so that if there is a 3rd offender or any other people are linked to this matter, we will investigate them and take action against them.
What intelligence do you have about this 3rd person? Was he there with a gun? Is he outside of the area? What intelligence do you have? I think people need calm and worried that there's someone on the run still.
It's way too early to give that information. The community can be very reassured that the police responded quickly. The police have responded in numbers. We have a significant investigation underway at the moment. We will be following all people linked to those gunmen that we know, and we'll take action to keep the community safe. The community can rest assured that the police will take positive action to keep them safe.
What weapons were used and were they sourced illegally? And what can you tell us about the improvised explosive device found under the bridge?
It's way too early to give any description of the firearms other than to say that they were long arms. Where they came from, their background, how they came to be in possession of the offenders, it's too early to say. As part of the investigation and shortly after the shooting occurred, police located a vehicle in Campbell Parade at Bondi, which we believe has several improvised explosive devices. We have our rescue bomb disposal unit there at the moment working on that.
What is the latest on that?
It's still underway at the moment.
Were any of these devices or?
It's too early to say that. As I said, we've got our rescue and bomb disposal unit there. They will take the appropriate action. They're experts in their field.
Were either of the 2 individuals, the deceased and the one in custody, known to authorities before this evening?
Only little on the offender that's deceased at the moment. I won't go into their background. That's obviously part of the investigation. Certainly form part of my consideration as whether to consider this to be a terrorist event.
Were any of the gunmen licensed to hold firearms, and do we know whether they were known to ASIO or New South Wales Police?
It's too early in that investigation.
Why did you declare it a terrorist attack?
There was a range of circumstances. Obviously, the fact that it's the first day of Hanukkah, the types of weapons, the offenders, some of the other items we found at the scene. As I said, we have found an improvised explosive device in a car, which is linked to the deceased offender. So there's a range of circumstances, and obviously the Jewish community has a right to feel safe. We will take serious action.
Commissioner, you knew about the gunman that was deceased. How did you miss this attack? No.
I don't even think that's a reasonable question. What I said is that we are aware of the person. That does not mean there was any specific threat posed by that person. If the police had had intelligence that there was a risk to the community or to this event, we would have taken significant action. This is a tragic event. This is not the time to be pointing the finger. There will be a thorough investigation. My main focus is to make sure that the community feels safe and know that the police are there to support them and keep them safe.
Commissioner, how can 2 people with guns improvised explosive devices in a car organise something like this, potentially with a third person, and police do not know that it's coming?
Well, I think if you think about the size of the community here, our police do a fantastic job. Day in, day out, you see the work that we do to prevent crimes happening. We need intelligence to actually do that. As I said, the person that we know has very, very little knowledge to the police. So he's not someone that we would have automatically been looking at this time.
What can you tell us about the 2 injured police officers? Do you have their ranks? Has anyone been able to speak to them?
I wouldn't want to provide those details at the moment. We're obviously got next of kin coming down. Their loved ones will be with them. I want to make sure that they have some time in peace before we do. It's too early to provide that information.
Do you have a condition report at all?
Serious, verging on critical, and both are in surgery.
Commissioner, I understand a rabbi was among those who have been killed. Can you confirm that?
I can't confirm that, sorry.
This might be one for the Premier. Have you spoken to the Prime Minister, and is there any indication the national terror threat level will be raised?
I have spoken to the Prime Minister. I'll leave that up to him to inform the public of. But he offered all the support to New South Wales, and we both reflected on how shocking and terrifying this evil attack was.
Premier, what would you say to people who are scared right now?
Look, I understand that. This is a shocking event. It's not common in Australia, and it's all the more shocking because of that. What I can say is that there will be a comprehensive police response. Anything New South Wales Police needs in terms of resources, we will provide them. If there's changes that need to be made, we will do that immediately. I mean, we need to be in a situation where we're sending a clear and unambiguous message to the Jewish community, in fact every Australian that lives in this state, that these horrible acts of violence will never be tolerated, and anyone who perpetrates them we will throw the book at. Anyone who's thinking about it will be thoroughly investigated. This is a terrible night for Sydney, but I think it's important to say we can't let these evil people divide Australia up. We need to be in a situation where, as shocking as this is, there are still wonderful people in the Bondi community right throughout New South Wales. That's what these terrorists want. They want Australians divided and at each other's throats, and we can't let that happen. In fact, we won't let that happen.
Premier, at least 2 people, potentially 3, have worked together to organise a mass shooting event with shotguns at Bondi Beach. There's been IEDs in a car planted nearby. Further to what I asked the Commissioner, has there been a failure here? Has there been a failure in intelligence or policing?
Look, I mean, I think in the circumstances it's reasonable that both the government and the police conduct an investigation. There will be, of course, a full inquiry. But when you're looking at several hours after this horrifying event, it's important that police focus on community safety right now and ensuring that the immediate vicinity is locked down, that the public, those who've been injured, are transported to hospital, and that there's not an immediate ongoing threat. There'll be plenty of times for a thorough investigation, and I can assure the public that that will take place. But we need to let the police do their job tonight.
Was there any intelligence shared from the Australian Federal Police?
I'm not going to get into that.
Is there any information to the motive of the offenders beyond it being a terrorist incident?
No, I mean, the fact that it was the first day of Hanukkah, that there were Jewish families celebrating as a community in Bondi, it's shocking and terrible and self-evidently a terrorist act.
The police operation is still continuing around Bondi, obviously. I mean, it is getting late for some people. Will schools be opening that area tomorrow practically?
We've just been hearing there from New South Wales Premier Chris Minns and, of course, the Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon. We understand the Prime Minister is now speaking, so we will cross to that now.
Ryan, the Acting Deputy Commissioner for National Security for the AFP, and Mike Burgess, the Director General of ASIO. And we don't normally talk at confirmed meetings of the National Security Committee, but I think at this moment it is appropriate to tell Australians that the National Security Committee was convened as a matter of urgency, and we have just come from it. This afternoon there has been a devastating terrorist incident at Bondi at the Hanukkah by the Sea celebration. This is a targeted attack on Jewish Australians on the first day of Hanukkah, which should be a day of joy, a celebration of faith. An act of evil anti-Semitism, terrorism, that has struck the heart of our nation. An attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and every Australian tonight will be, like me, devastated on this attack on our way of life. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation. Let me be clear, we will eradicate it. Amidst this vile act of violence and hate will emerge a moment of national unity where Australians across the board will embrace their fellow Australians of Jewish faith at this dark moment for our nation. Our police and security agencies are working to determine anyone associated with this outrage. Our agencies will provide you with factual updates as quickly as possible as they continue to emerge. The evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension, and the trauma and loss that families are dealing with tonight is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Australians have had their lives cruelly stolen and many have been injured. For all Australians, our first thoughts are with those in the terrible early hours of their grief. We are also thinking of everyone being treated for their injuries, and many of whom are alive right now because of the courage and quick action of the New South Wales Police and the first responders who rushed to their aid, as well as the courage of everyday Australians who, without hesitating, put themselves in danger in order to keep their fellow Australians safe. We have seen Australians today run towards danger in order to help others. These Australians are heroes and their bravery has saved lives. As Prime Minister, I say on behalf of all Australians to the Jewish community, we stand with you, we embrace you, and we reaffirm tonight that you have every right to be proud of who you are and what you believe. You have the right to worship and study and live and work in peace and safety, and you enrich us as a nation. You should never have to endure the loss that you have suffered today. You should never know the fear that you know tonight. We will dedicate every resource required to making sure you are safe and protected. You are Australian and all Australians are with you today and every day. My fellow Australians, I say tonight that there are nights that tear at our nation's soul. In this moment of darkness, we must be each other's light. Hold on to the true character of the country that we love. Australia is stronger than the cowards who attacked innocent people today. Australia is braver than those who seek to make us afraid. Australia will never submit to division, violence or hatred. We will see justice done and we will come through this together. I'd ask Acting Deputy Commissioner Ryan to make some comments and then Director General Burgess.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Firstly, our thoughts go out to the families and communities that have been affected by this senseless attack today. The AFP stands next to the New South Wales Police and with ASIO in our joint counter-terrorism arrangements, and we'll put all resources we can, all our specialist powers, all our specialist resources towards ensuring that this matter is investigated as thoroughly as possible. In relation to the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, we have heard that there has been a declaration of a terrorist incident that will enable the AFP, along with ASIO and New South Wales Police, to use specialist powers in relation to this investigation. I don't wish to speculate in relation to any of the information that is currently known. This matter is ongoing. It is in its early stages, and we will continue to work with New South Wales Police to ensure that it's investigated as best as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, PM. ASIO was also a member of the Joint Counter-Terrorism Team, and our principal role at this stage is to support the police in their ongoing investigation. But at the same time, as is standard practice for us, we are looking at the identities of the attackers, and where that is known, we're looking to see if there's anyone in the community that has similar intent. It's important to stress at this point we have no indications to that fact, but that is something we have active investigations on. The national terrorism threat level remains at probable. I don't see that changing at this stage. Probable means there is a 50% chance of an act of terror, and unfortunately we've seen that horrific act occur tonight in Australia. Thank you.
A few questions. Charles?
Prime Minister, you've called this terror. Are you aware of any other terror threats at the moment, and what's your message to Jewish Australians who may not feel safe in Australia tonight?
My message to Jewish Australians is that your fellow Australians stand with you tonight in condemning this act of terror, in condemning this outrage. I've had a number of conversations with people tonight. One of the Jewish community leaders said to me that we know where anti-Semitism leads, that it leads to an attack on everyone, not just Jewish Australians. And this attack at Bondi Beach, of all places, a place of celebration, a place where people, particularly in Sydney, but from all over the world, come to enjoy each other's company, and to, in this case, at the Bondi Pavilion there. I'm very familiar with that pavilion. This senseless attack is one which is an act of terror. It is aimed at creating fear. But we will stand with the Jewish community and Jewish Australians at this time.
Prime Minister, in light of this attack, is the government going to move on any of the recommendations in the Special Envoy's report on anti-Semitism in Australia?
Yeah, we're continuing to work on all of those issues, including one of the things that you'll see is a request that had previously been made to be included in additional funding for security as well. And I know that it is, this is an incredibly tough time for the community to deal with this. It's important that they don't deal with it alone, that everyone stand with them at this time. And then we'll go fill in then.
Left unchecked, as you were just saying, anti-Semitism leads to terrorism and violence targeting the innocent. Your government has come under criticism in claiming that it has effectively responded to the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia since October 7, 2023. In September, your government recognised a Palestinian state. Your ministers have attacked the Israeli government. Senior ministers refused to visit the sites of the October 7 massacres, and you created a special Islamophobia envoy alongside an anti-Semitism envoy. Have you taken the threat of anti-Semitism seriously, and can you guarantee the safety of Jewish Australians?
Yes, we have taken it seriously, and we've continued to act. We've continued to work with Jewish community leaders. We've continued to take all the advice from the security agencies to put in place special measures, and we'll continue to do so. Phil?
For Mr Burgess or Deputy Commissioner Ryan. Yep. Mr Burgess, you've been warning for a long time about the risk of this sort of attack, localised extremism. I think, were any of these people on your watch list? I think the New South Wales Commissioner just said they were aware of one of these characters. They were keeping an eye on him. Was he on either your radar at all?
So it's too early to give you any more details, Phil, other than to say, like the New South Wales Police, one of these individuals was known to us, but not in an immediate threat perspective. So obviously we need to look into what happened here.
Mr Burgess, you mentioned that the chance of another attack is probable, or 50%. I'm just wondering, how does that mean that there is still a 1 in 2 chance of a follow-up attack? And does ASIO or the other security agencies take more precautions now that you've seen such a devastating attack?
So national terrorism threat level of probable means there's a 50% chance, so 1 in 2, of course. That doesn't mean to say there's a connection to an immediate attack following this one. That is subject to our ongoing investigation. We have no indications that that is the concern at this stage, but of course we will work 24/7 along with our police colleagues to make sure that is the case.
Mr. Burgess, given that the events of earlier today, why can you sort of expand on your decision to leave the terrorist threat level at probable? And do you envisage that you will have further conversations about potentially adjusting the terrorism threat level in the coming days?
The national terrorism threat level is under constant review. One incident by itself does not necessarily raise the threat level at a national level, but we keep that under constant review.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing there from Mike Burgess, ASIO Director General, and of course a visibly shaken Prime Minister Anthony Albanese responding to the events of this afternoon. So to bring you up to date, this shooting at Bondi Beach has now been declared officially a terrorist incident, and important to mention, within that declaration, police now have special powers to investigate. So we haven't wanted to speculate up until now, but we can now say officially this has been, without question, a terrorist attack. 12 people, including one of the 2 gunmen, are confirmed dead after these 2 assailants opened fire at Archer Park on the edge of Bondi Beach during a Jewish family event on the first day of Hanukkah. 29 people have been hospitalised across Sydney. Among them are 2 police officers, and we can now tell you a child. The conditions of all are being described as serious. There is a second gunman who is being treated in hospital. We understand his condition is critical. We can also tell you that several explosive devices have been found in a vehicle nearby, and the bomb disposal unit is on the scene. At Bonnyrigg in southwestern Sydney, police have begun raiding a home, and we are led to believe that that is the home of one of the gunmen. Ali, we've got some pictures just in of police, tactical teams and detectives on a street in Bonnyrigg.
Yeah, a large section of the road is taped off, as you can see, Georgie. Police have been trying to keep locals away from the scene for a number of hours now, and I think this is so important when we've just heard the New South Wales Police Commissioner and the New South Wales Premier hammering home that this is not a moment for anger and for retribution, Georgie. No one should be going near the home. We need to be staying away and letting New South Wales do this important job, this important investigation. But these are pictures coming out of Bonnyrigg in southwest Sydney at the moment. And I mean, Georgie, we didn't want to connect all the dots, or we didn't want to believe that this was going to be the case, but it was what we were all fearing, a terror attack on our Jewish community in Sydney.
Well, we've obviously been reticent to use any inflammatory language, but we now have it officially from the Premier, the Prime Minister, and Mike Burgess, ASIO Director General. The Premier describing this as a horrifying, evil attack, him saying that it has absolutely been targeted at the Jewish community. As he said, our heart bleeds for the Jewish community. He's also been at pains to say that this now is a massive and very complex investigation, that no stone will be left unturned in terms of getting to the bottom of who is responsible for these horrific acts.
And what an enormous baptism of fire for New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon, who has only been in the job, Georgie, for a number of weeks. He will now be leading this investigation, a terror attack on home soil. It is so difficult for all of us to fathom, not only Sydney-siders, but right around Australia. This is the first mass shooting that we have had since 1996, since Port Arthur. I mean, Georgie, you would remember the Lindt siege. Tomorrow is 11 years since the Lindt Cafe siege. We think of these moments that define our nation, that change our course, change our reaction to things, and this will be one of them. But certainly an enormous job ahead for Mal Lanyon. I did also like what our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said, that an attack on Jewish Australians is an attack on every Australian, and I hope that everyone takes that to heart and takes that on board tonight.
Yeah. Well, the words of the Prime Minister, an act of evil anti-Semitism, and of course there is no place for it, no place for the hate and evil and violence. We want to now bring you some vision. It is confronting. It's actually horrifying to watch. But to date, it is the clearest angle we have seen of the 2 gunmen filmed as they repeatedly opened fire, standing on that footbridge connecting Bondi Beach, the car park, to the pavilion, and then down to the actual sand of Bondi Beach. In front of them, you can possibly make out what appears to be a third weapon on the ground. We're not quite sure, that hasn't been confirmed yet, but it appears to be a third weapon. Civilians who'd been sheltering nearby understandably chose to run in a state of absolute panic to put more distance between themselves and the attackers. But as you can see from this vision, the gunman then leaves the bridge, and we know from other footage that we've seen, it is then that a man who we are without question describing as a hero, a man who was standing by, who witnessed this. You see this vision now where that is just the most extraordinary act of courage. Wrestling that man, wrestling the gun from him, holding it up, pointing it at him, keeping him at bay. It would be, I think, pretty clear that man's actions have absolutely saved lives.
They've saved so many lives, and it'll take days, months, years maybe to even fully comprehend what he and other brave bystanders have done, how many lives they've saved by intervening. As we've heard throughout the evening, and as Damien Ryan, our senior reporter, reported, this shooting lasted for 9 minutes. They were firing for 9 minutes at least. And we don't know how many minutes into the shooting that when the man decided to jump in and bravely intervene. You'd imagine, Georgie, the adrenaline would be pumping. You either go to fight or flight mode, and he certainly fought for those people down at Bondi today.
And it's just so, I keep saying this, but it's just so brazen. It's just so extraordinary to think this was playing out with hundreds and hundreds of people around. And after several more minutes, the gunmen, as you can see, they're ducking for cover as civilians approach. And as you see there, picking up that third gun. And we understand that it's at this point, as civilians approach, police move in and manage to secure the scene. As you can see there, this is police then, they start to swarm in.
The police station only roughly 500 metres away. They would have heard the gunshots from their station, and immediately it would have been all hands on deck.
Damien Ryan joins us again from the scene at Bondi Beach. Damien, as you would be well aware, there's so much vision now flowing in from witnesses, and we're sort of piecing together what unfolded from 6:40 this evening when this all began. So many people with not just sort of visual accounts, but of course verbal accounts of what they saw unfolding before their eyes.
Well, you're right, there were so many people here, and on that, I have seen that vision you're talking about. You can hear the person filming them trying to guide the police, telling them that he's over there, and when it comes to an end, you can hear the civilians and the people who are watching and stepped in saying to the, one man's shot and, the other one's down. So, they played a major role then, and then obviously there was a lot of anger once they knew both men were dealt with, and police had to hold the mob back. But, you can understand the reaction straight away from that. The important decisions made this evening by the police minister, by the police commissioner, calling it an act of terror, that will give the police not just the power they need, but the resources as well. They will throw everything at this, and rightfully so, that's what should happen. And as the Prime Minister...
The problem belonged elsewhere?
Sorry?
Before it arrived? The
Yeah.
problem belonged to
Okay.
Albanese elsewhere.
Let's talk in a minute. I'll deal with that. And the Prime Minister said it was just an act of evil. So, he's right on every corner there. It's been a long evening for the people of Bondi, a tragic evening for the community, the Jewish community, and for everybody involved. I think that they're still coming to terms with hearing now that 12 people have lost their lives. Over 20 people in hospital. There is that child, sounds like that child that I saw who was wounded is in hospital, and and in a reasonable condition. So that's something that's worth sort of expressing, that there's some good luck there for that child who I did see and looked very upset and very badly hurt. But anyway, so for everybody else, it's been it's been just a wicked night that many people in Australia will never forget. Certainly, it's one night I will never forget for sure.
Absolutely, Damien. An evening that is still just beyond comprehension, an act of absolute evil anti-Semitism, and as we heard from the Prime Minister, no place for it, no place for that level of hatred and violence. We're going to cross now to political editor Charles Croucher, who's in Canberra. And Charles, we saw just shortly, a little while ago, a very emotional, but also a very determined Prime Minister.
Georgie, determined and defiant is the way he went. This will be a challenge for Anthony Albanese and for the government. This is a moment of great vulnerability for Australia's society, and he was clearly aware of that, as is Mike Burgess. He says the terror threat level will remain at probable, the Director General of ASIO, but that still means there is the possibility that there could be further attacks, and that's what will be concerning ASIO tonight. As Damo just said, it's been a long night already. These people will now work around the clock to prevent anything else happening and to try and bring some calm and bring some confidence, particularly to the Jewish community. The Prime Minister said there are nights that tear at the nation's soul, and in a moment of darkness we must be each other's light. That is the challenge for the government, be it here, in Macquarie Street in New South Wales and right around the country, because while this has happened in Bondi, happened in New South Wales, it is being felt particularly by the Jewish community, but in communities right around the country tonight. Here's part of what Anthony Albanese had to say.
So you said your name was Abdullah, you were here, you're an eyewitness.
Yeah.
Take us through from the start, what happened?
Yeah, I was just driving down Bondi Road when I heard people telling pedestrians to go back. I drove down Campbell Parade. So I heard the gunshots, saw the two shooters on the bridge were active shooters. So
that wasn't the Prime Minister there, but more people speaking of the emotion of that moment. The Prime Minister said because this has been classed as a terror event that will now bring together the agencies that can work and have extra powers when it comes to investigating this. The New South Wales Premier was speaking about the possibility of 2 or 3 gunmen. There's clearly a lot that the authorities don't know, but speaking to both intelligence and military sources tonight, I can tell you there's a lot they do know as well. So that is the challenge now in 2 parts. One, it's a hunt. It's a track down. If there was a potential third shooter or anyone else involved, get them into custody. And then 2, and very different challenge, bring the community together. It will start by everyone being at Bondi at some point, I would say tomorrow, and bringing Jewish leaders there, bringing leaders from all faiths there to show that Australia is defiant in this moment. But that is a big challenge for the government tonight.
Heard you in the press conference ask the PM about other potential terror threats, and I felt like he kind of danced around it a bit. What more would need to happen for the terror threat level to be raised, and what implication would that have?
Yeah, there would need to be greater intelligence of another threat. I think the fact that it remains at probable gives some comfort that this could be a one-off, that things haven't been heightened again, that there is more chance. But there will be increased security in communities tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. There was increased security at the Prime Minister's Blue Room, which has been slowly building up the protection around politicians here, which shows there are threats out there, and that the chatter or some of the talk is getting more dramatic and more. And unfortunately, what we've seen tonight isn't talk, it's actions, and that's what will be the next concern. The fact this is a senseless attack was what the Prime Minister said. He said it needs a moment of national unity. We stand with you and embrace you. You are Australian and all Australians stand with you was that message. Turning that from words into the actual feeling in the Jewish community remains the task tonight, while, as we were speaking about before, there are ASIO officers, there will be the AFP, the New South Wales Police, other sort of military tactics that will be there, that will be helping that out as well. I think we now have the Prime Minister speaking.
The evil that was unleashed at Bondi Beach today is beyond comprehension, and the trauma and loss that families are dealing with tonight is beyond anyone's worst nightmare. Australians have had their lives cruelly stolen and many have been injured. On behalf of all Australians to the Jewish community, we stand with you, we embrace you, and we reaffirm tonight that you have every right to be proud of who you are and what you believe. There is no place for this hate, violence and terrorism in our nation.
So unfortunately, this becomes a defining moment for the community, a defining moment for the Prime Minister, what comes next. There has been a number of messages coming in from foreign leaders. One of them I want to read out is Chris Luxon, the New Zealand Prime Minister. He said, Australia and New Zealand are closer than friends. We're family. I'm shocked and distressed by the scenes at Bondi. It's a place that Kiwis visit every day. My thoughts and the thoughts of all New Zealanders are with those affected. We'll see many more of those coming in. There's been offers from interstate for police to get involved, and there'll be international offers coming as well.
Yeah, well, on that note, Charles Croucher, thank you. We're going to cross now to reporter Emma Partridge, who joins us from Sydney Police Centre at Surrey Hills. And Emma, we've just heard from police and, of course, the New South Wales Premier. Just talk us through what we've learnt from that update in terms of how police are now responding to this. With that declaration of it being a terrorist incident, gives police obviously the powers and the resources, doesn't it, to just throw everything at this?
It does, Georgie, and that's one of the first things that Commissioner Mal Lanyon said at this press conference in the city just a few moments ago, was that he has declared this a terror attack, which does give police special powers to investigate and dealing with the ongoing situation. The Premier and the Commissioner tried to provide as much detail as they could, but needed to keep some back for investigative reasons. Mr Mal Lanyon did mention that there was a third offender potentially that police are looking for, that potentially was seen on some of the videos that we've seen aired already tonight. He did ask for calm and that people don't need to be worried, but he said that police are still investigating how this third man could be linked to this terror plot. The Commissioner announcing it was a terror attack at about 6:47 at Archer Park at Bondi. The Premier describing it as evil and that his heart bleeds for the Jewish community. Commissioner Mal Lanyon also went into detail about confirming that there was 12 dead, including the shooter, and one of those injured was the second shooter that has been apprehended. Commissioner Lanyon also said that there were 2 police that were critically injured in hospital and that they were currently undergoing surgery. So our thoughts are with them and with all that are injured and with all the families that have been affected by one of the darkest days in our state's history. But the Premier and the Commissioner trying this evening to give as much detail as they could. There's still so much information coming in. There's an investigation ongoing at the Sydney Police Centre in Surrey Hills. I'm here at the Police Executive Headquarters on Elizabeth Street, but it's all hands on deck in Surrey Hills, where the State Crime Command and all of our state's most senior police are continuing to investigate this. There have been raids at a home in Bonnyrigg. Police are trying to do all they can to ascertain what was the motivation behind this terror attack. And now Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon did mention that one of the shooters was known to police, but not very well known, that they hadn't had much intelligence to suggest anything about this shooter. But the Premier and the Commissioner tonight, along with the rest of Sydney, commiserating and just in complete shock, Georgie.
Right, Emma, I've got Ali with me now who wanted to ask you.
We were just looking at the still that we just saw, Georgie. We should point out for our viewers who have come in a little later that is one of the alleged shooters that we were just looking at on our screens there. Em, I just wanted to quickly ask you, I mean, the New South Wales Premier and the newly minted New South Wales Police Commissioner, anti-Semitism has been #1 on their agenda for most of this year, for most of last year. Does it strike you as strange that there seems to be no intelligence, no potential knowledge of these alleged shooters?
That was asked at the press conference, and the Commissioner and the Premier both said it was just too early to comment on the investigation and what intelligence they may have had on this. I mean, they just said, you know, at the moment they're their focus is on the ongoing situation in Bondi. And I guess in the coming hours and days, we will find out more about what police did know or what they should have known. But at this point, I think they're just scrambling to find out what's going on, and potentially with a third offender as well that they're trying to track down. But yes, the question was asked several times at the press conference about whether police had any intelligence that this was something that was going to happen this evening.
Yeah, this is very much an active and ongoing investigation. Emma Partridge, we appreciate the update. Thank you. It is now pretty much bang on 4 hours since this event began. 4 hours since those first shots rang out at 6:47 on the footbridge there at Bondi Beach. And we now know a terrorist attack has been declared, as we've just been discussing. 12 people, including one of the gunmen, have been killed. We're going to take you back now to how this all began.
Terror and fear at our most iconic beach. Scenes we've never seen before at Bondi. Gunmen targeting innocent people enjoying the sun and the holidays on Campbell Parade and around Bondi Pavilion. Mass panic on the sand. Some run, some hide. Multiple shooters indicating it's an organised attack.
We just see the person with the blood and with the impact of the bullets, and he said, attack, 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 run, run, run.
Those who were there sounding the alarm on social media.
Gun. What the?
I'm just seeing everyone like running in the police, and this guy's like shooting into the pavilion with an AK-47. Like, what the?
Then what appears to be a good Samaritan tackles one of the gunmen, wrestling his shotgun from him, taking a stand and pointing the gun back at the killer.
There was a heroic by a good Samaritan Australian that jumped on the gun. One of the gunmen put him down, basically took the gun, was pointing the gun at him, but didn't shoot him because he didn't want to take the law to his own hands.
Police indicating one gunman was killed on site, while another was taken to hospital and later died. Hundreds of people were attending the Hanukkah by the Sea event when shots rang out. Nine reporter Damien Ryan, a witness to the aftermath.
A Hanukkah festival for children. In his situation, he was so panicked, grabbed his children, couldn't find his wife, took cover, and then managed to get out. I saw an elderly woman. They obviously they worked on her, it was no good, and they covered her face, knowing that she was not going to make it. I have seen many things like this, but not when it's in my backyard. So, yeah, it was tough, but much tougher for all these people.
The Executive Council of the Australian Jury said tonight's event was supposed to be a celebration.
This is what we think it is, then this is our worst fears realised. This is the Jewish community at its best, coming together to mark a happy occasion. And if we were targeted deliberately in this way, it's something of a scale that none of us could have ever fathomed.
Muslim leaders condemning the attack. These acts of violence and crimes have no place in our society. Those responsible must be held fully accountable and face the full force of the law. Emergency services were quick to respond, tending to the wounded. Some carried off on surfboards when a stretcher couldn't be found. Pockets of patients surrounded by medical teams and members of the public, beach and sand, acting as an emergency department triage.
I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family?
Witnessing people dying and also just hearing about kids and families, just a crazy situation.
Multiple people tonight dead, more injured. From the Prime Minister, The scenes in Bondi are shocking and distressing. Police and emergency responders are on the ground working to save lives. My thoughts are with every person affected. A number of suspicious items were found in the area, including what appears to be a pipe bomb. The attackers went to Bondi with a plan to break it. Tonight, the community in pain is persevering in the face of one of the most horrific events this country has ever seen.
Everyone's got to help, everyone's got to hug, everyone's got to embrace. It was a bloodbath, it was an absolute massacre.
Madison Scott, 9 News.
It is still so difficult to comprehend. Let's head to Annalise Bolt outside the Emergency Department of Royal Prince Alfred in Camperdown in Sydney's inner west. Annalise, you've heard incredible tales of survival there and also from those who've been injured.
Yeah, Ali, I've just spoken to a man whose 89-year-old mother is right now being treated here at RPA. She sustained wounds caused by shrapnel in this horrible terror attack that unfolded this evening. Now, he wasn't comfortable going on camera, understandably, but he did give me permission to share his story because he thinks that it's incredibly important that people know what happened in Bondi this evening. He was at a Jewish festival for the first day of Hanukkah, a very special day for the Jewish community. He was there with his mother, his wife and his children, his 8-year-old son and his 5-year-old daughter. They were enjoying the celebrations when this emergency suddenly unfolded. He said that there were Jewish security guards that were there on scene and they suddenly started yelling for them to get down, get down, get down. And then they just heard gunshot after gunshot after gunshot. They said the bangs were incredibly loud. He was crawling along the ground and he was heading towards where he knew his daughter had been playing. It was in an area which had animals for children. He finally was reunited with his wife and son, but he wasn't able to find his daughter. This was incredibly terrifying, as you can imagine. Then suddenly a woman came up from the beach and fortunately had his daughter with her and she was safe. As for his mother, she's a great grandmother. She's 89 years old and she sustained a shrapnel wound to her hip. She was sitting up and she was talking and she apparently was in quite good spirits considering the absolute horror that had unfolded. He said that she just kept saying that she was enjoying the music at this very special festival with her family. He said that she doesn't get out much and that this was supposed to be a lovely evening out with her grandchildren. She is now in hospital. He's been coming and going from the emergency department to make sure that she is okay. She's being treated, obviously, she's 89 years old, so that is a concerning age. But he said, fortunately, she will be okay. Terribly traumatic scenes for all of the people that have witnessed this, but also terribly traumatic for the Jewish community. And he said that he is still determined to continue to attend festivals and special events. He's lived in Bondi his entire life, as has his family. We have a huge Jewish community in Sydney and in the eastern suburbs who are just absolutely rocked by the horror that has unfolded. We also have an update on patients who have been taken to hospitals right across Sydney. We did just hear from the Police Commissioner that there are 29 patients who have been transported to hospital, and those hospitals really range from Liverpool to Royal North Shore here to RPA. Most were taken to St Vincent's Hospital, which of course is quite close to Bondi. We know that 2 of those patients were police officers who were now in a critical condition, but family members are rushing to hospitals right across Sydney to make sure that their loved ones are okay.
All right, Annalise Bolt, we'll leave you now for the moment. Thank you. As Annalise said, 29 people transported to hospitals. I think it's safe to say pretty much every hospital across Sydney is taking in patients, and we understand there is quite a broad range of conditions from very, very serious, critical, through to more minor injuries. Several members of the public have put themselves in danger to help save those who were injured. We've heard some extraordinary stories of acts of bravery and courage, of people absolutely risking their own life to help others, to help strangers. I mean, this image here alone is just so extraordinary to watch. And
He's such a hero.
Amazing. And I think, you know, we're safe to say that that man's acts have well and truly prevented other people being shot, potentially killed. Our reporter, Massilia Ali, has spoken to one particular man who was driving past at the time this was all playing out, and it was playing out about 4 hours ago, a little over 4 hours ago now. He pulled over, we understand, to provide first aid to a police officer.
So you said your name was
How
Abdullah,
long does
you were
this-
here, you're an eyewitness.
Yeah.
Take us through from the start, what happened?
Yeah, I was just driving down Bondi Road when I heard people telling pedestrians to go back. I drove down Campbell Parade. So I heard the gunshots, saw the two shooters on the bridge, were active shooters. So just drove to the end, to the parking, was trying to tell people to duck, take cover, because there's still active shooters there. And when I drove into the parking lot, there was an officer there who was shot already. So I parked my car there, tried to help him. But yeah, it was really bad. A lot of people, just some dead, some injured. But yeah, horrific.
So you tried to save that police officer. What was he going through? Take us through that moment.
Oh, well, he was very brave. He's trying to stay conscious. We were trying to talk to him. He was fine. But of course, with the gunshot wound, so we're just there trying to help him because there's so many people injured. And it's hard for ambulance and everyone to attend to everyone at the same time and get to the scene as well. We're just trying to help him, held his hand, and there are other people who are trying to wrap his wound, put pressure on the wound. I think right shoulder. And I think there was an exit wound, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there you go. Just one of so many accounts of people carrying out the most extraordinary acts of bravery and courage. Traumatic scenes, but still managing to have the presence of mind and the kindness, I guess, to step in and help people in their hour of need. We're going to take you now to Bonnyrigg. For viewers outside of Sydney, Bonnyrigg is a suburb in the city's southwest, and we're taking you there because there's a very heavy police presence after police raided a home we understand is that of one of the gunmen. Our reporter James Wilson is there. James, bring us up to date to the pictures we're looking at now of Bonnyrigg. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Georgie, this police investigation tonight spreading all across Sydney as police begin to unravel the clues that have led to this shooting. One of them has brought me here to Brown Road in Bonnyrigg in Sydney's west, around 50 minutes from Bondi. It's understood that one of the shooters lives in an address around 100 metres down the road from me, and that house has since been raided about an hour or two ago. Behind me, the road is blocked off by police, and of course, the power of social media. One of these alleged shooters, his address was leaked on the internet, on WhatsApp, forwarded many, many times. So the advice for people who are coming down here tonight is to stay away. This is an address that has been seen by many, many people, and even behind me now, dozens of people have come down here to gather and to check out this police operation behind me. Mal Lanyon, the Commissioner, did say in that press conference around 45 minutes ago, do not be a vigilante, do not come down here and take matters into your own hands. But of course, with so much angst, anxiety and anger towards what has happened, that is a real fear of police tonight. So a heavy police presence completely blocked off the road around 100 metres from where this house was raided. We don't have any confirmation as to what was found there just yet or if any other arrests have been made. But as I mentioned, this police investigation stemming from this shooting and those involved is now spreading further and further out. We also heard from Mike Burgess down in Parliament a short time ago, talking about the potential of a third shooter. We know one shooter is dead, another is in custody, and the potential looking for a third shooter. And he did mention that police were not just interested in this address here or the identities of those shooters, but also tonight looking at anybody in connection with them that may have a similar intent that they have right now. So that alert level is incredibly high. Also a report from the scene on Bondi, a car or a device found right under that bridge where that shooting took place has been confirmed as an IED. That has now been seized by police and taken away from the scene. So this investigation's just started. They're unravelling clues, and it will go well into the night, as it will go over the next few days, weeks and months as they get to the bottom of all of this. Georgie?
Yeah, a massive and very complex investigation. James Wilson coming to us there from Bondi Beach, thank you. We heard from the New South Wales Premier a short time ago, and we're going to bring you a little bit more of what he had to say. Premier Chris Minns.
Our heart bleeds for Australia's Jewish community tonight.
When we come out of this,
I can only imagine the pain that they're feeling right now to see their loved ones killed as they celebrate this ancient holiday. It's a responsibility of all Australians to wrap their arms around Australia's Jewish community and help them get through this incredibly difficult period. This is a massive, complex and just beginning investigation. It's just begun, and there are things that tonight we don't have the answers to. However, we do have answers to some crucial pieces of information for our wonderful city and our beautiful state. The first one is the outpouring of love and support from ordinary Australians for Australia's Jewish community is real. Secondly, today is another example of the enormous pressure and responsibility, the danger that New South Wales Police regularly face as part of their job. They do it without faltering. They didn't falter today. We need them. And thirdly, tonight saw extraordinary acts of personal courage and bravery from individuals in our community. And I think it's worth remembering that in all of this evil, in all of this sadness, there are still wonderful, brave Australians that are prepared to risk their lives to help a complete stranger.
Yeah, Premier Chris Minns there reinforcing the fact that this is a very, very painful night for the Jewish community at large, for the Australian community at large. And he has encouraged us to throw our arms, to wrap our arms around the Jewish community at this time, now that it is very clearly an anti-Semitic attack, a terrorist attack, 12 lives taken, many more injured, many of course traumatised by what they've witnessed. The Jewish community is reeling, it's safe to say.
It certainly is, and we are getting lots of responses from Jewish officials. Hopefully we'll get someone to talk to us very soon about it. But I did want to read out some statements that have come through from the Jewish Council of Australia, Georgie. From Bart Steinman, the executive member of the Jewish Council of Australia, he says, "We are horrified and shaken in the wake of the mass shooting at a Hanukkah event in Bondi this evening. This is the first night of Hanukkah where we gather with loved ones. Many within our community have just received the worst news of their lives. Others are caring for injured loved ones, and some are still waiting to hear that their families are safe." And from the Executive Officer of the Jewish Council of Australia, Sarah Schwartz, she says, "We should be able to gather with our communities, practice our culture and worship in safety. Our hearts are with our friends, family, fellow community members and everyone impacted by this terrifying event." So, Georgie, they are the sentiments from the Jewish Council of Australia. But day one of Hanukkah, we now know that this is a confirmed terrorist attack. It strikes right into the heart of the Jewish community, a community that has been on edge, for a long time, but especially since the October 7 attacks. And particularly this year here in Sydney, we have seen a number of attacks in different Jewish areas. We've seen lots of occasions of anti-Semitic graffiti. It is something that we are so regularly reporting on here in Sydney. And I say that because I'm aware that we have many viewers in from right around Australia, but this has been a particularly large problem in Sydney, and my heart just breaks tonight for the Jewish community who now have to grapple with what unfolded and have to wake up in our city tomorrow and keep going.
Absolute heartbreak, Ali, as you say, and as we've heard from some of our reporters there on the scene, shock, anguish, and also, understandably, anger creeping in. And our police have been at pains to urge people to remain calm, for there to be no sign of retribution. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon spoke just a short time ago. Let's listen again to some of what he had to say.
At 9:36 p.m. this evening, I declared this to be a terrorist incident. I have also authorised special powers under Section 5 and Section 6 to ensure that if there is a third offender, and we are currently investigating that at the moment, we will make sure that we prevent any further activity. Section 6 allows us to investigate today's incident. We will have a significant investigation Our Counter-Terrorism Command will lead this investigation with investigators from the State Crime Command. No stone will be left unturned. This type of disgraceful activity, this wanton use of violence, the taking of innocent lives is unacceptable to New South Wales. It's not our way of life. I've been very clear since I've been the Commissioner that as a police force, we won't stand for this type of violence.
Yeah, very decisive words there from New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon, who has only been in the role for a matter of weeks. As he said, this is now a comprehensive and very thorough and complex investigation where no stone will be left unturned. We're going to take you back now to reporter Pippa Bradshaw, who's at St Vincent's Hospital in Darlinghurst, not far from where this mass shooting played out at Bondi. And Pippa, what can you tell us? What's the latest from where you are?
Georgie, we've just had the loved one of one of those people confirmed to have died today in this shooting at Bondi leave the hospital here. Her name was Larissa, her name is Larissa rather, and her husband was Alexander. Now, we believe he was shot and killed at Bondi today, and I believe we have a little snippet of what she had to say when she left the hospital just before.
I feel horrible. I have no husband. I don't know where is his body. Nobody can give me any answer. That's it.
Your husband was killed in the attack?
Yes.
Is he here? Did they bring him to St Vincent's? Or
No, not
you don't know. You haven't been able to find out?
No.
As you can hear there, Larissa is just heartbroken. She came here to try and find where they had taken her husband's body and wasn't able to find him or find out any more information here tonight. As you can imagine, inside the hospital behind me, there are countless families trying to find out more information about their loved ones who have been injured in this shooting attack at Bondi this afternoon. We know 12 people have been killed and there are countless others at hospitals right across Sydney that are injured this evening. We know Larissa's husband, Alexander, would you believe he survived the Holocaust, now to be killed at Bondi Beach here in Australia. And she is not the only loved one and family member who will be going through this tonight. And our thoughts and prayers are with all of those people impacted.
Oh, Pippa Bradshaw, they absolutely are. Thank you very much for that update. I think it's worth noting, I mean, it's only just over 4 hours since this all began, that this all unfolded. I mean, there would still be a state of absolute confusion and panic in the minds of so many people who haven't perhaps been able to contact friends and family who were at Bondi this afternoon.
Yeah, I fear there are many people out there, many people who are perhaps watching this that don't know where their loved ones are, and we are thinking of you in this moment. To think that Larissa is going probably from hospital to hospital to try and figure out where her husband's body is, that is devastating. There will be other family members that will be doing the same. As we know that there are many hospitals that are currently triaging patients, looking after even some incredibly young children, Georgie. 10 hospitals all involved in this at the moment. 29 people, as we understand it, in hospital, and that is on top of the 12 that were killed in this massacre at Bondi Beach this afternoon.
As you can understand, so many witnesses to this horrifying event. One described the scene a little earlier as an absolute massacre. Damien Ryan spoke to him, a Jewish man who survived, if you can believe it, the October 7 massacre, only for him to then be injured in the chaos of what played out today. And I guess a warning that some viewers might find this interview confronting.
So we're just looking at the Jewish leaders over here hugging each other. I mean, what else can you do?
Not a lot you can do right now. Right now, everyone's got to help, everyone's got to hug, everyone's got to embrace. It was a bloodbath. It was an absolute massacre.
Tell me what happened.
I was here with my family. It was a Hanukkah celebration. There were hundreds of people. There were children. There were elderly families enjoying themselves. Children, kids, at a festival. Playing, and then all of a sudden it's absolute chaos. There's guns, fire everywhere, people ducking. It was absolute chaos. We didn't know what was happening, where the gunfire was coming from. I saw blood gushing in front of me. I saw people hit, saw people fall to the ground. My only concern was, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Where's my wife? Where's my family? I survived October 7th. I lived in Israel the last 13 years. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight this bloodthirsty, ravaging hatred.
That's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. You know, we've lived through worse. We're going to get through this, and we're going to get the bastards that did this.
Tell me, did you see the gunman?
I did. I saw at least one gunman firing. Looked like a shotgun firing randomly in all directions. I saw children falling to the floor. So elderly. I saw invalids. I saw people just. It was an absolute bloodbath. Blood gushing everywhere. You know, October 7th. That's the last time I saw this. I never thought I would see this in Australia, not in my lifetime.
On Bondi Beach?
On Bondi Beach, of all places, this iconic place.
Your children, your wife?
My children, my wife is safe, thank God. They're okay. They managed to get away, but I didn't know. I didn't know where they were, and that's nothing. There's no greater fear, no greater horror not knowing where your family is. They're okay. I'll be okay.
You're a legend. Thank you. And you don't know how you got shot or hurt?
I know. I got hit in the head. I'm bleeding.
You lost a lot of blood.
I've lost blood. There are people around me that are far worse. I'll be okay. We'll be okay as a community, and we will defeat these ravages' hatred.
Incredibly powerful words, and his account. As he said, none of us ever dreamt in a million years that we would see these images that have played out today on Bondi Beach on home soil.
And that is the thing, right? You're sitting in a restaurant, you're sitting at a bar, you were sitting on Bondi Beach, an iconic beach, maybe going out for a swim, and you hear these gunshots. And we heard it earlier with Amelia Ballinger, our 60 Minutes producer, who was a witness to it and was in a pub and heard it and started running. I mean, she knew to run because she'd been a correspondent who covered terror attacks. But for most Australians, this is something that we do not deal with, thankfully, and we do not expect to deal with it. So we're hearing reports of people thinking that it was perhaps fireworks at first, so they kind of looked around. You just would never think that someone would be firing hundreds of rounds at people on Bondi Beach. This is obviously now a very complex investigation. Not only do we have 2 shooters, at least, one of them dead, one of them in a critical condition, but we also have explosives removed from a car on Campbell Parade, Georgie. We are looking at images right now, a still image of one of the alleged shooters. And this is the car where police have allegedly removed a pipe bomb, an IED. To think that, I mean, we're talking 12 people dead, but you can't help but wonder if we didn't have those bystanders intervene, if the police weren't as close as they were and couldn't get to the scene that quickly, this could potentially have been even worse.
And here again is that vision of that heroic act, that man managing to wrestle the gun, pointed at him to act as a deterrent, and then, you know, keep him at bay. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Keep him at bay. Another man runs in and throws a missile at this guy. You know, it's beyond comprehension what must have been running through that man's head at the time. But boy, oh boy, such courage.
And it is still very much an active scene at the moment. We're seeing hundreds of police cars down there near that bridge, where I believe we also find Massilia Eiley, Georgie.
Yeah, Massilia Eiley has been standing by. I'm not quite sure if we've got her. Yes, we do, Massilia. Massilia, you are right there. As we say, just 4 or so, a little over 4 hours now since this all began, and you are near the footbridge, that exact area where this shooting took place. What can you tell us in terms of the latest from police?
That's right, Georgie. Good evening to you and good evening to Ali. I just heard you guys talking about that IED. Well, I can just show you the police rescue vans behind me. This is where that IED has been seized into and is currently being kept tonight to be taken away to become, no doubt, a major part of this investigation. That has happened within the last half an hour or so that we've been told that it has been seized, and that ongoing operation that we've been talking to you about over the last few hours has ceased. That means that it has now shifted from being an ongoing operation to that investigation commencing into exactly what happened here this afternoon. As you guys mentioned, there's also that car under that bridge that is also being examined, but also a number of things that police will be and are currently looking into. How did these 2 men get here? How did the planning start? Where did they park? What were their motives? I know this has obviously been deemed a terrorist attack, but all of those details are what is currently being looked at and will no doubt continue to be looked at. If I take you around, you can see that this large part of North Bondi remains closed off here this evening. You can see a number of police cars. If you look deep into the scene as well, there are detectives that are walking through car to car, checking every single one to make sure that there is nothing that they have missed at the scene here tonight. And that has been happening for the last few hours or so. You can see just a few of them there at the end, but there's a number of detectives up and down this car park and up and down both the south and the north side of the beach tonight. And as I mentioned, they tell us that this is going to continue for a number of days. This investigation has only just commenced. Once this operation has ceased, and it will no doubt continue, the beach will no doubt remain shut for 3, if not 4 days at the very least, we've been told.
All right, Massilia Ali, we appreciate that update. Thank you. A little further along the beach, we find our other reporter, Damien Ryan. Damo, just describe the atmosphere, if you could, for us now, sort of 4.5 hours on from when this all began. Is it eerie? Is it... you tell us. Describe how it feels.
Yeah. It's, well, a lot of the people have moved on now. There's some elderly people here have just wandered past and said, you know, what is going on? And we've had a word and just say, look, you know, it's been a terrible time for everybody here, and it will be for some time. I think that Bondi itself will, tomorrow, I think Charles may have mentioned, I think there'll be a turnout. They'll want to do something. They'll want to have some sort of expression of sorrow and, you know, and dread of what's occurred, whether it happens on the beach or another part of the beach, but there will be some sort of reaction here tomorrow from the locals, no doubt, and the Jewish community. The Jewish community from right around the world will be absolutely mourning this tragedy. It's October 7. I mean, we don't have those numbers, but it's the same sort of strategy, isn't it? To shoot and to kill and wipe out people, and that's exactly what's happened here. So, yeah, the aftershock will be around for quite some time, and I think over the next couple of days, it's going to be such a terrible time for the families of the loved ones who've lost their lives here. I think that's once those names come through, and people will know other people, the fallout from this will be extraordinary. So for the police, they've got their job. They've got the job ahead of them to make sure that they get it right, and to, you know, who else was involved? Okay, we've got 2, maybe 3 involved here, but did they have help? Were they assisted? I mean, who helped make them an explosive device found in a car? They, you know, this is very well planned. Clearly, they had 3 guns. Were there 3 gunmen? That will come clear as the investigation rolls on. But, you know, there's more than likely that they would have said something to somebody, or, you know, we're going to go down to Bondi Beach and cause some havoc. That's the sort of investigation you will want to get to the bottom of. Anyone who may have had some involvement in this, they have to be flushed out.
We will be absolutely craving answers to just so many questions. Damo, I just want to ask you personally, you are a very seasoned, a very respected and experienced reporter. You've covered global events, every corner of the globe, and huge news stories. You got down to Bondi Beach not long after, well, about half an hour after this all began. I'm just wondering how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I'm good, but I wasn't at the start, I'll tell you, because it was sort of, I had turned up and all I could see were people on the ground being treated. There were people that were dead, and there was that child who I spoke about before, and we sound like that child, thankfully, will be okay. You know, it's sort of like, what the hell is going on? We knew that there were some shots. You know, people rang me and said, look, there's a shooting down in Bondi, you got to get there. And so it was quite extraordinary. But always you see the people rallying behind, helping people. There were people being carted from the area where they were shot on, as I said before, on lifeguard surfboards. You know, everyone was involved who could be involved to help. And the Jewish community also were very swift to get down there and help as well. And then I think you'll never forget seeing now the vision of people trying to take these people down. Wow, I mean, that's incredible. You know, out of such tragedy, you see this, you know, heroic acts of behaviour of people, you know, trying to help others. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. But a very, very sad day, and all I hope is that the people that I saw being treated well, they got the best of care on a bit of grass and a surfboard. You know, I just hope that, you know, that they get through, they pull through and they survive. You know, they've got good doctors and great hospitals. We can just hope that that death toll does not climb. Georgie?
Yeah, well said, Damo. And we are thinking of you tonight and all those who witnessed this absolutely just unbelievable act of terrorism, of evil. Ali, you know, we've heard from the Prime Minister, we've heard from the Premier. There is no place for this violence and this hatred in our country.
No, and that is the cut-through message. We need to wrap our arms around the Jewish community, no matter what faith you are, no matter what you believe. You're Australian and they are Australian, and we need to really be here to support them. And I think hearing from the Premier and the New South Wales Commissioner, who really hammered home that this is not a time for anger and a time for retribution, I think that is so incredibly important, because while we're all heartbroken tonight, Georgie, often these things change very quickly and anger builds up. So we would just like to urge everyone to just be there to support our Jewish friends and be there for them. I'm really hoping that tomorrow they'll get an opportunity to go down to Bondi Beach. I imagine, Georgie, it's going to be very difficult given that they are still examining cars down there. This is a very complex investigation and they cannot leave any stone unturned at the moment. But I really hope they get that opportunity to come together. I think that it is so important for them to be on Bondi Beach tomorrow. That would be iconic.
Well said, Ali. Thank you. All right, well, that concludes our breaking news coverage of the mass shooting, this horrific terror attack in Bondi. Just to confirm, 12 people have been confirmed dead, including one of the two gunmen. 29 patients are in hospitals across Sydney, and included in that 29 are 2 police officers and a child, and the second assailant, who we understand is in a critical condition. Coverage of this massacre will continue overnight on 9news.com.au, and today, of course, will be live from 5 a.m. tomorrow morning with Carl and Sarah Arbo live in Bondi. On behalf of myself and the 9 News team, for now, good night.